After a statement win last week against a tough Romeo Bulldogs squad, the Cardinals continue their chase for a district title. Sometimes sports storylines write themselves, and this one is one of those instances. Of course, after a Week 9 double overtime heartbreaker at home, the Cardinals get one more shot at the Lapeer Lightning, this time for a district title. Hi, folks. Welcome to our broadcast on DTV Channel 191 and our DTV YouTube stream. On our YouTube channel, Chris Jared, Mason Polmantier, up on top of a chilly Lapeer Lightning press box at Fitzpatrick Field. And it's going to be a good one, Mason, as we get set to key in on this matchup for the Cardinals. You look at the way that the regular season ended last year, a tough loss to De La Salle, get back on track against Saginaw Arthur Hill. But then a Lapeer Lightning loss in Week 9 sent the Cardinals into the postseason in 2018. We're unable to get things back on track. The Romeo win last week in Week 10, it was a good win for the Cardinals, and really, I'm going to be honest, it kind of surprised a lot of people for Davison to get that win on the road against a really tough Romeo squad. But all of that behind us as we've got one of the most anticipated games in this district title week across the Michigan High School Athletic Association. The Cardinals get another shot at the Lightning.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be quite the show.
Lightning won the toss. Cardinals will receive, and we are live from Lapeer, Michigan, as the kick is going to be fielded at about the 15-yard line by the Cardinals. Nice return, and across the 25-yard line as the pile is brought down right around the 29. That's where Davison will have it, 1st and 10. Nice return by Hayden Bailey, the backup quarterback for the Cardinals, where a lot of folks were wondering if we were going to see Bailey here in the postseason after Brendan Sullivan in Week 9 took a shot in overtime, and it was against these Lightning. Really hurt his left shoulder, and we're wondering if that was going to keep Sullivan out of the ball game. It didn't. Defensively, he was out trying to contest a field goal. He went in at quarterback, and then in Week 10 against the Bulldogs, looked pretty good against Romeo, and now here he is one more time against the Lightning.
Yeah, last week was for sure the Caleb Smith show, racking up 5 touchdowns, 4 rushing and 1 receiving.
Going to see how the Cardinals look against the Lightning now the second time around. These two teams mere miles apart, but absolute rivals looking to settle the score for who's the top team in the Flint area in 2019. And a flag flies as the play clock is at 0. And not the way that you want to start the ball game if you're the Cardinals. That's going to get this Lightning crowd on their feet.
Well, yeah, last week they had a rough start, too. Started off with the turnover, and Romeo scored right off the bat.
Davison led by their head coach in Jake Weingartz in his second season with the Cardinals. Last year led Davison to the playoffs after a very successful year. And the loss against De La Salle and Lapeer, the lone 2 losses of the regular season, looked like the same thing here in 2019. And Weingart's really trying to get on the winning side against his alma mater. Shouldn't say alma mater, but went to Lapeer West and was so dominant in high school. And now head coach of the Cardinals. Sullivan, a little play fake. He'll throw it out wide to his right. Harrison Terry with the catch, looking for the yards. He gets about 5. And a decent gain there on first down to get it back to the initial line of scrimmage. Cardinals looking at about 2nd and 10. We're just underway between the Cardinals of Davison and the Lapeer Lightning live in Lapeer, Michigan. You can tell by the field and right at midfield with the Lapeer logo, obviously not at Cardinal Stadium tonight.
Yeah, we didn't see too much of Terry last week. He had 3 catches for about 29 yards. Don't think he had any touchdowns, but still a decent game.
Sullivan will give up the middle this time. It's Smith, and he's dropped immediately. Got maybe a yard or 2 yards, and that's going to bring up 3rd down and 9 for the Cardinals. An early 3rd down on their opening drive to start this ball game.
Yeah, Smith only racked up 63 yards last week, but those touchdowns spoke for him.
Pretty cold up on top of the press box for this game tonight. Not really the circumstances that we had against Romeo. It was the internet that wasn't really great for us on the streaming side. Looks like we're going to have a lot better coverage tonight here in Lapeer, not too far from home.
Yeah, getting a good signal out here. We were in the press box last time for Romeo.
3rd and 9 for the Cardinals. Sullivan with 3 receivers split out to his left. He'll take the snap, gets some pressure immediately, dumps it over the middle and dropped as it was intended for Fordham. But Sullivan, I think, saw the pressure coming quickly and the throw was a bit too high for his senior. And the Cardinals with 4th and 9 in their own territory. They'll punt it away.
Yeah, that looked pretty level with his head there. I'm surprised he didn't grab that. And in the key game like this, he's got to make those grabs. He's a senior receiver, and he's definitely one of the best on this team.
You're not wrong. One of the best in the state, certainly in the area, as well as Latrell Fordham. And the Cardinals obviously letting everybody get to Sullivan before the quarterback was supposed to dump it away. Sullivan again in his junior campaign with the Cardinals. He'll be back next year. Davison set to boot this one away. A low snap, look out, and it's a low bouncing kick that's going to go across the 40 and fortunately take a Cardinal bounce across midfield, be spotted at about the 45-yard line. So all things considered, Mason, really not that bad of a punt.
Yeah, I mean, it looked pretty rough there for a second. That snap hit the ground before it even went to the punter, but he was able to make the best out of that bad situation.
And that's Brendan Densmore, who was able to boot it away. Of course, the Cardinals moving up a couple guys from their JV team up to the varsity lineup to get set for postseason action. And here come the Lightning on their first trip offensively. Pretty good starting position right at their own 45-yard line, 1st and 10.
Yeah, I wonder how dominant Dixon's going to be in this game, because last time against Davison, he had all 3 of their touchdowns. Wonder if he's going to be tell that same story today.
Man in motion, 2 in the backfield, and it's going to be an early give to the right side. Cardinals with the pressure stifling up front as Gabe Smith and Logan Pasco there to lay the wood for the Cardinals. That brings the Davison fans to their feet a little bit here in the early going.
Yeah, and stopping that Lapeer run game stopping the run game was Davison's key into winning last game, because they had to go up against that dynamic duo of St. Clair and Zapsky.
Yeah, well, let's talk about that last game against the Bulldogs. The Cardinals faced a quick deficit, and just notoriously a lot of times, really in any team, when you get yourself in a hole like that, it's very tough to come back. Cardinals were fortunately able to come back and win 35-21, a string of unanswered points to get the win in Week 10. Looking to throw to the right side, going deep. It's Dixon, the intended receiver. He's got it. And he was able to hang on to that catch. Looked like it might have popped free at the last second. But lobbing it in the air for Dixon, that's going to be the man to watch for the Lightning tonight. He come down with the big grab and sets the Lightning up nicely in Cardinal territory.
Yeah, and you got to watch out for Dixon in the ground and on the air, because he's got a fantastic run game, and it's hard to stop him. He's a big guy.
Got to give it a nice throw from the senior as well in the backfield. Camden LaBelle just lobbed it up for him with space. LaBelle again looking to throw. With some pressure, he'll roll to his left. Pasco gets there. He sails it away. No receiver in the area. That's got to be a flag, and it is. LaBelle was not outside the tackles. Phoenix Dixon pointing to himself saying, I was right there. And let's see what the officials come away with. The head judge is shaking his head saying nope, and is going to be intentional grounding the call. I think the right call there.
Yeah, and flags are going to play a big part in this game. The last thing they need is racking up those yellow flags.
Well, and that's tough because that's a spot foul as well. So where it happened, that's going to move the Lightning back a bit. The initial line of scrimmage is at about the 25-yard line, and the ball is going to be marked at about the 42, maybe 3, right about the 43-yard line. 9:30 to play in the first quarter. We're just underway. Cardinals on their opening drive with 3 and out. LaBelle in the backfield. He's got receivers out to his left and right. Looking to throw left side over the middle of the field. Lobbed in the air. Pizzala in the area. And it's caught for a first down. Pizzala trying to wave his hand, say it hit the ground. But the Lightning throwing it all over the Cardinals secondary in the early going.
Yeah, and that's a big way to start off this drive for the Lapeer Lightning. 2 huge passes like that. That's going to get the fans excited. That's going to get that sideline up and moving. And that's going to get the players scoring some points.
Cannot allow that after giving up the fielding position that the Lightning were looking at. On one play, they were able to basically delete the intentional grounding in the field position that they had given up. Sailed it up top, and a big catch as Pizzala was there, and it was pretty tight coverage, but a really good ball from, I believe it was LaBelle, the quarterback. Now it's Dixon as the Lightning look to go small and load up the line here. Dixon will run it up the middle, bounces out to the outside, nobody home, and into the end zone for a Lightning touchdown.
Fantastic juke there right before he ran in there. Able to shake the Cardinal defender off and run it into the Lapeer end zone for a touchdown.
That's not how you want to start this ball game if you're the Cardinals. And their defense looked good there in certain instances. They got the pressure up front in the passing game, but 2 big passes put the Lightning in Cardinal territory. And just one play, all that they needed for Phoenix Dixon. Patient running, like you mentioned, Mason. Was able to make the right move at the last second. And just a foot race to the far pylon, and Dixon won it.
Yeah,
high snap on the extra point. It's up and good. Sorry there.
It's fine. If the Cardinals want to keep this one close, they're definitely going to have to slow Dixon down.
7-0 our score with 9 minutes to play in the first quarter. And Lapeer on their first offensive possession. They start at their own 45-yard line. And as we mentioned, 2 big pass plays moves the Lightning right down the field, and they're able to punch it in for the first score of this ball game. Pretty chilly up on top of the press box, but not a bad perspective from our point of view. We got the heaters going, the propane heaters, and our stream running live, keeping our equipment warm. And a big shout out to our DTV crew back in our studios at Davison High School as well. getting you Cardinal football in this November Friday night.
Yeah, and we got some decent connection this time, too.
We do, yep. So shout out to our streamers as well, watching back on YouTube across the state of Michigan and wherever you're watching from tonight. Cardinals hopefully looking for a better offensive possession here on the second time around. Pretty good starting position at about their 25-yard line, but it was a little bit tough trying to move the football. They tried it on the ground, and Caleb Smith was stood up right at the line of scrimmage. And then on 3rd down and 9, tried to screen right over the middle, and it was a high throw that Fordham couldn't come down with. Talk back about the first matchup against the Lightning. It took Lapeer all the way until the end of the first half to get on the scoreboard. This is a high spiraling kick, and it's going to be fielded at about the 7-yard line. And we'll see a return right up the middle and bouncing out, dropped at about the 29-yard line. And again, the Cardinals will have it in pretty decent fielding position, 1st and 10. That was Jalen Flowers who was able to run it up the middle.
Some pretty good field position for them to start off. I mean, not as good as Lapeer's right there, starting on the 40 and then able to make those 2 big passes up, leading up to a touchdown.
Lightning lost in their Week 1 opener against Lake Orion. That was right here in Lapeer, Michigan. They haven't lost since. They've been on an absolute roll. For the Cardinals, they moved through the regular season fairly uncontested until they headed south to Wayne State. Another rematch from last year's game. The program's first matchup ever, and either two teams' matchup was last year. A little throw over the middle. Terry with the catch at about the 36-yard line. Moves forward nicely. He might have a first down, and a flag flies late. Let's see what this is going to be about. Lightning players clapping their hands, but I'm not so sure.
Yeah, I'm surprised Sullivan's not targeting Latrell a bit more. I mean, that one drop pass earlier might make him shy away a bit more. Terry's seeming to make consistent catches right now.
See what the officials come away with, and they're going to wave off a flag. And so Lapeer fans upset, not sure who the flag was thrown initially, but the officials, the head judge, saying that Terry was able to fight his way after the catch forward past the line to gain, which was right about the 39-yard line, merely inches past it he got there for the fresh set of downs. Good play there on first down. Sullivan, Smith, and Smith in the backfield. That's Game Smith and Caleb Smith, it looks to be. And the junior will give to Caleb up the middle. Stood up across the 40-yard line for a small gain. And the Lightning fans on their feet after the pile has moved backwards. It's going to be second down at about 9 or maybe 8 coming up.
Yeah, and that's that number 1 SVL defense. I mean, they're unstoppable.
Well, and Mason, the Cardinals, you can tell they're trying to get Caleb Smith going with something up the middle. They throw it on the first play. They get a fresh set. And they try to run it right after, maybe thinking that Lapeer is setting up for the pass on the next play, but instead they're right home, and they drive Smith, and they keep him only for a short gain. Second down and 8. Sullivan rolling to his right, throws to the far sideline, and it's going to be caught at about the 47.
Almost fell down there.
Well, they mark him at the 46, a little bit shorter than where it was caught, but a nice catch on second down. Make it third and manageable here. Looks like it's only 3 yards to gain. 7:45 in the first quarter. And the Lightning on their first drive, 2 big passing plays, put them up nicely in Davison territory. And they're able to run it to the left side and get into the end zone for this game's first score.
Hopefully Davison can retaliate.
3rd and 3, a big play. Sullivan a low snap, tries to work his way up the middle, and that's not going to do anything. I'm not sure if that was the design play call or not, but it looked like a little bit of a low snap, and Sullivan tried to worm his way through the middle, and he was dropped at the 45 for a loss on the play. That's going to bring up 4th down, and the Cardinals, I think, will boot this one away.
Yeah, these last 2 weeks have been relentless for Sullivan. He's been getting beat up, first by Lapeer, then by Romeo. Has been taking a lot of big hits, and I feel like the last thing he needs to be doing right now is running the ball.
And the Lightning know the damage that they did on Sullivan. Of course, it was against them where he was injured in that ball game. Was able to run his way off of the field.
Yeah, and Sullivan was getting checked out during the Romeo game too, but he came back on later, as well as Latrell.
Again, a low snap. Densmore with more time, though. He boots this one away. It's going to bounce at about the 24-yard line, and a return is on. But the Cardinals do a great job of getting there quickly and dropping the return man at about the 19-yard line.
Yeah, nice tackle there by Davison. He had about 10 tackles last game. 7 were solo and 6 were assisted.
And so we're seeing a really nice punt there. The first one was a low snap that Densmore had a lot of traffic around him, but there, a great punt that Densmore was able to get it not only past midfield, but it took a great bounce all the way to about the 19. And so the first Lapeer drive started at their own 45. This one gives the Cardinals a little bit more room to work with defensively instead of just half the field.
Yeah, a little bit of a different look this drive. Wonder if they're going to be able to come out of this.
Davison started a little bit slow offensively against Romeo, but their defense kept them in that ball game long enough. They turned it on. 6 plays, only 6 yards allowed in the third quarter against Romeo on the road. Looking for more of that in this game. LaBelle looking to throw with pressure in the backfield, and he's going to go down at about the 10-yard line. A big stop by the Cardinals on first down, Mason. That's key. It looks like the Lightning are trying to go in the air and deep, but if Davison can get to the backfield, I mean, it's only about 4 seconds that they can get to the quarterback. If their secondary guys can play defense for only 4 seconds, they're going to get that pressure and get to LaBelle quickly.
Yeah, I mean, last week, Davison didn't have to worry too much about the pass game. They only allowed 1 completion out of 13 attempts. But this week, it looks like it's going to be a different story. He's going a lot of deep passes.
So LaBelle now with 3 out to his right, 1 lone receiver to his left on the far sideline. Looking to throw right side, a little screen. Caught it about the 7 and dropped quickly as Pasco gets in there and shuts the door. No gain on the play. It's going to be third down at about 18.
Yeah, he had another big game last week, too. 13.5 tackles. 2 was for a loss, and then he racked up an interception, too.
And so a big play forces it to third and very long, as the Lightning keep it in the air. Let's see what they do here on third down and 18 yards to go. Don't want to make a mistake and throw an interception. Looks like the same formation as second down. Looking right side again, thrown over the middle. It looked like a screen was on, but dropped. Of course, that's a forward pass, so that's not a fumble. And that's going to make it fourth down and 18 yards to gain. Lightning at their own 11. Let's see as the punt team comes out on the field if the Cardinals send the pressure.
And a little bit more in Pasco. Seems to have been a real motivator this postseason. After that tough loss to Lapeer, they were all huddled up, and he was nothing but excited for the postseason, nothing but trying to get this team fired up and ready for a win against Romeo as the underdog, and they did just that.
Right.
And now he's hoping to do the same out here.
It aligns itself perfectly to set up the rematch here in Week 11. Fordham is standing just in front of the 50, and let's see if it gets that far. Towering punt. A little bit more altitude, though, than distance. It's going to take a nice bounce and stop right about the 43-yard line. And the Cardinals will have it for the first time in this game in Lightning territory. Mason, I think that's just what the Cardinals needed. Really didn't get anything going offensively, but the defensive play getting the Cardinals a starting momentum to try to tie up this ball game.
Yeah, I mean, once they get hot, they stay hot. And that was pretty clear last week against Romeo. They shut out Romeo in the second half and put 21 points up on the board.
Well, and the Davison defense looks stifling as the chain gang crew, not on the same page. They don't have themselves set up. They were heading the Lapeer way, and let's see what we have here as it's thrown out to Fordham. The senior trying to make some men miss as he's across the 40-yard line, shy of the first down as the chains get set. What we were saying is that they were going from left to right when the Cardinals, of course, moving from right to left. And so now they're set up. It's going to be second down, make it about 5 yards to go.
Key block there on that play by Pizzala over there, allowing Latrobe to get an extra couple yards.
We're seeing Sullivan Mason with some quick throws, just trying to get it out of the pocket quickly and not let the Lapeer pressure get to him. Again, Sullivan looking to throw it. He'll keep it himself. Running across the 35, spun around and dropped. Gets a small gain, though, but it's going to bring up a third down. You can see the brace on Sullivan's left arm, and that's where he took most of the damage.
Yeah, I feel like it might have been a better call there just to slide and avoid the hit, not take as many yards, instead of getting toppled by 2 of those Lapeer players.
See if the Cardinals try to go short to Smith, maybe set up a play fake, and fake the run to Smith, look to go in the air, but third down and short, only 2 yards to gain. Lightning with 4 up on the line. Sullivan rolls to his right, looking to throw. Tight coverage, and it's dropped incomplete. Boy, a really tight window that Sullivan tried to force that into. And the Cardinals throw it on 3rd and 2. Falls incomplete. Mason, let's see if the Cardinals try to go for it here. They bring in Pasco and Unger, as it looks to be Flowers, Pizzala checking out. I think they are going to try to load up the line here and get 2 yards offensively.
Yeah, they're putting those 2 big guys that make big differences on defense and offense on the field, trying to make something out of this play.
The first 4th down conversion of the night, and Davison trying to gain 2 yards. Sullivan looks to throw again. This time it's caught by Fordham, and he's got the first down.
Let's grab there. If he keeps making those, then the Cardinals are going to roll through the Lightning tonight.
Well, and you see that Kyle Saar was the senior, and he was in the area. but it was just a simple out route of about a yard, 2 yards that Luttrell was able to get there to. Sullivan throwing it in the air, and by the time that Fordham turns back for the football, it's right there on his doorstep. And as you mentioned, you got to come down with that grab. Fordham did. Saw him drop that screen pass earlier in this ball game, so hopefully that gets the senior going. Cardinals convert on 4th down and 2. They've got a 1st and 10 at the Lapeer 30. Sullivan gives it up the middle. Smith trying to work his way across the 30 to the 25, and he's going to be a few inches short of the 25-yard line, but a good chunk there on 1st down. Make it 2nd and about 5 yards coming up.
Man, those players got to be cold out there. I know they got some heaters from Home Depot, but...
Yeah. Well, and that's just the Lapeer sideline. There's nothing for the Cardinals on the far end. So, yeah, you can get cold pretty quickly, especially if you're stationary on the sideline. But when you're out on the field, sometimes it's hard to tell the difference.
Might play a factor in this game. Maybe they won't be moving as fast.
Well, in balls, too, I mean, when you're throwing the football in the air, it can skip right off your hands. And sometimes gloves don't do you that much help. Sullivan looking to throw, trying to go deep to Fordham. He's got him in the end zone and overthrown for the drop.
Just like you were talking about, those gloves did not help in that situation. Just slipped right out of his hands there. Big play there.
Fordham tried to make a man miss, and it was certainly there as he was wide open in the end zone. And I think that Sullivan might have had the pressure in the pocket. He just got rid of it quickly, and it falls incomplete.
Yeah, I mean, last week, though, when he got rid of it quickly, it went to Smith, and he got that game-winning 88-yard touchdown.
You saw the little pump fake by the junior quarterback in the pocket. That play was designed perfectly, but just overthrown as the Cardinals take a shot. Now 3rd and 6. Sullivan rolling to his right. He's got Fordham if he wants him. The throw is caught at about the 16-yard line, and a big conversion as the Cardinals able to come through on 3rd and 6. They pick up the 1st down. Mason, some big conversions for the Cardinals. We've seen a couple of 3rd down conversions, a 4th down conversion on this drive. They've got to cap it by finding the end zone.
Yeah, not going down without a fight. They're marching down the field right now.
Very little wind here in Lapeer, as it's likely not going to play a factor tonight. We saw some wind when the two met in Week 9, but again, that didn't really play too much of a factor as that took double overtime to settle that score. Cardinals tied it late with a touchdown in the 4th quarter, and then they had the football first in overtime, couldn't score any points. That was, of course, when the Cardinals blocked the Lapeer, what would have been game-winning kick, and sent it to a double overtime. 1st and 10, Smith, early contact, but he's able to fight back to the line of scrimmage and prevent the loss on the play. But Mason, we've seen Lapeer clamp down on Caleb Smith running the football tonight.
Yeah, I mean, they saw him get hot last week. They're trying to put a stop to that right now.
You notice, too, Smith, nothing on the edges. Everything's been up the middle for Caleb Smith. You wonder if Davison tries to get him going outside. Of course, has the speed as he plays both ends of the football, working as a safety for the Cardinals defensively. And you wonder if maybe they try something on the edge. But up the middle has not worked so far for Caleb Smith.
Yeah, it seems like they're just trying to overpower that defensive line and push them on through.
2nd and 10. Sullivan will keep it on the play fake. Looking to his left in trouble. Stays on his feet. Still alive. There's Sullivan heading for the end zone, and he's in for the touchdown.
Fantastic vision there to get out of that big situation in the pocket, dodge all 3 of those Lapeer linemen, and run it in for a touchdown.
The junior quarterback puts the Cardinals on the scoreboard first and silences this lightning crowd as he's able to just scamper his way out of pressure. Picked up a couple of huge blocks as well and just work his way into the end zone and put the Cardinals on the scoreboard. Pending the extra point, Davison trying to tie this game.
Yeah, I mean, that's the best thing that could have come out of this situation by far. It turned in from a near sack to a touchdown play.
Snap is back. Kick is a line drive up and in. And Davison, on their 2nd offensive possession, marches right down the field and able to punch it into the end zone. A couple of big conversions, 1 4th down conversions, couple of 3rd downs as well. And Davison does just as you mentioned, Mason. They answer and respond to the Lightning opening touchdown, and they tie us at 7. 2:06 to play in the 1st quarter. We're tied at 7 apiece.
You know, MLive had this game being a 1-point difference. Davison won it by 28-27.
Yeah, that's incredible. Certainly, you know, I heard a couple of people saying that they were going to leave this game with the temperature. They'd said, we'll probably leave if it gets anything, you know, if either team is up by 2 touchdowns or 3 touchdowns, and I don't think this game is going to get to that gap at all. That's just a prediction, but you never know. Just the way that the first game went so back and forth.
Yeah, I mean, it's just going to be close matchup for sure. The two best teams in the SVL Red.
Cardinals with an overall record of 3-5 against Lapeer since the Lightning came into fruition in 2014. They lost the first 3 matchups against the Lightning and then won the next 3 to tie it up at 3-3. But Lapeer last year winners 28-6, and then this year with a 24-21 double overtime thriller for the 3-5 advantage in that overall record. Kick is popped in the air at about the 15, but the Lightning stay with it, trying to find the yards, and the ball is going to be spotted at about the 23. So we're seeing some great special teams play, Mason, by the Cardinals. Field position is going to be pivotal in this ball game. Remember the last time the Lightning, their first drive, I mean, it started just past midfield in their own territory at about the 45, but the last 2, this one included, have been well back in their own territory. So let's see if, we saw how the last drive went. The Cardinals got the pressure in the backfield, and the punt resulted in the Davison touchdown. So let's see what we see here.
Yeah, should be good.
So we've seen a couple of quarterbacks, 2 in particular. It's been LaBelle, the senior, and this time it's Dixon again. Wonder if the Lightning will try to keep it on the ground. Dixon rolling to his right. A little bit of a wildcat look. Pasco can't make the tackle. Dixon still on his feet. Look out. Finally pushed out at midfield and still on his feet. Lets his Lightning crowd know that he's going to be a problem for the Cardinals to answer all night.
Yeah, and that's what he does. He just runs all over teams and showing off right here. It looks like LaBelle is going to be moving the ball more in the air tonight, and Dixon's going to be their man on the ground.
About a 25-yard run as they mark it at the Lightning 48.
Yeah, last week they beat Grand Blanc 42-12, and then there's another SVO team still in it. Powers Catholic playing their game tonight. And SVO matchup right here, just like week 9.
Dixon will stay in the pocket. They load up the line of scrimmage, this time trying to work his way up the middle. Contact at the 46, and he's going to be pushed backwards on first down.
Some late hits there. Looks like there's a lot of Davison emotion showing.
And they finished that play as they just brought Dixon down. Looked like that time a little bit more of a design run up the middle instead of so off of the edge. That's where we saw the 25-yard run for Dixon. But goes backwards there on first down to make it 2nd and 11. A minute 25 remaining in the first quarter. Cardinals and Lightning tied 7-7. Lapeer on their first offensive possession. 2 big pass plays. They went right down the field and punched it in. And the Lightning load up the line of scrimmage. Dixon takes it. Looking to throw now. Over the middle, wide open, and it's going to be well incomplete by about 5 yards. But Dixon trying to go in the air, and it falls incomplete, as I think that was Saar, and it was.
Yeah, it looks like he was kind of stumbling out in the field there, not knowing what Dixon was doing, and if he had just kept running his route, he would have been able to make that grab. Would have been bad for Davison.
Pasco tried to run him down, but it falls incomplete. So a couple of shots taken by these teams. As Davison on their second possession had Fordham open in the end zone, couldn't come down with it. Fortunately, that drive ended in a touchdown. LaBelle now in the pocket, the standard quarterback for the Lightning. And Whistle's going to blow this play dead as the Cardinals want to take a timeout defensively and talk some things over. 3rd down and 11 is our situation with 1:04 to play in the first quarter. A big 3rd down as well, Mason, as the Cardinals, that first drive that the Lightning had, a couple of big passing plays. You wonder if the Lightning trying to dial up something big in the air here.
Yeah, I mean, the first drive they had started off 2 big passing plays, then Dixon running it in for that touchdown. So looks like it's going to be an asset for them tonight, moving the ball in the air.
You look around the track here, and in just about every possible position where you can fit a fan, they've done that. I mean, around the track, there's bodies up right around the fence and even clumped up in some areas. And then you look on the far end as well. There's really not a lot of places for Cardinal fans to sit. Well, it's loaded with the Davison student section and then those who were fortunate to get here early. The Cardinal marching band isn't even sitting down. They're up on the visitor side on the track, just standing up.
Yeah, and I mean, we rolled up at like 5:30. The parking lot was
full.
packed.
Here's 3rd and 11. LaBelle takes the snap. Looks like the same play. Rolling out. Throwing in the air, and it's going to be caught at about the 42-yard line, 41-yard line, and a big 3rd down conversion. And as the Cardinals secondary, again, with a big passing play by the Lightning, they give it up for a 1st down.
Yeah, and they love throwing the Brown. He's a consistent receiver, and he's been making great plays all season like that.
Chains haven't moved yet as there's a flag at the 40, and a holding call on the Lightning is going to negate the third down conversion. That's going to move Lapeer back 5 yards, and a big call that's going to negate that play. Wow, I did not see the flag. As the gray turf, a yellow flag really doesn't pop as much as it does on a green field, especially with our field position way up top here.
It does help us see a lot more of the field, though.
And so it's going to be marked further than I said. It's back at about the 31-yard line.
Got about 58 seconds left in this quarter. Yeah, 3rd and 11 now.
So the Cardinals just trying to prevent a big play here on 3rd and very long. Scoreboard shows 27 yards to go for the Lightning.
Big penalty there.
Expecting some pressure by the Cardinals up front. They do bring it. LaBelle in trouble. And down he goes at the 22-yard line. Dropped in the backfield, and the Cardinal defense again comes through, and a big flag that stops a 3rd down conversion by the Lightning forces a 4th and very long for Lapeer to boot it away.
Yeah, Smith on the sack there, only a sophomore, but he's a returning varsity player. He was on varsity his freshman year, and he's been a big player this year. One game this year, he had a forced fumble and returned that for a touchdown.
Yeah, where Davison has turned heads offensively with their numbers this year, it's been their defense that's kept them in a lot of ball games and has seriously been a force to be reckoned with in the Saginaw Valley this year. The Lightning won the SVL Red Crown, but this one obviously the biggest matchup of the entire season as the winner stays alive. Punt is a weird spiraling kick, and it's going to drop at about the 47 and take a Lightning roll to about the 37, 36-yard line. They finally let it die right there, just past the 35. Cardinals will have it 1st and 10. The scoreboard shows, I think that's either 11 seconds or 1.1.
Could go either way, it looks like.
I think it's 1 second. So the Cardinals will have a play here on 1st and 10.
Yeah, like you said about their defense, I mean, they're second in the SVL, only to Lapeer, and they've been able to shut out like 3 teams this year, too.
And so the Lightning put any hopes of a shutout to bed on their opening drive. 2 big pass plays result in the touchdown. And then they're able to work their way, the Cardinals rather, right down the field on their ensuing drive. Tie this ball game up at 7-7. Remember back in the first half of the opening matchup at Cardinals Stadium, it was a 14-7 halftime score, or 7-7 rather. Sullivan with the give up the middle. It looks to be Gabe Smith trying to shake a couple tackles, or is that Kreiderman? It is Carter, and he's dropped past the 40-yard line on a nice carry on 1st down. Make it 2nd down and short.
Yeah, and he only had 3 carries last game, a little bit over 20 yards. Junior on varsity, didn't get too many minutes last week, but he's getting some now.
Well, you'll get minutes with a carry like that. And that's going to do it for our first quarter. A fresh 12 minutes put up on the score clock for our second quarter upcoming. But we're tied 7-7 in the opening frame. And this one has stayed even since the start. Let's see what the second quarter shows us upcoming here in just a few moments.
Yeah. And, you know, Kreiderman's going to have some big shoes to fill next year. He's going to have to fill the role of Caleb Smith leading as a starting running back. And it's going to be a big role to fill.
Well, you looked at just the last couple of years where you had a lot of names for the Cardinals, and Cannon Hall leaving. Of course, knew that you were in good hands with Brendan Sullivan, as he'd come in a couple times last year. And even in the offseason, a lot of Cardinals inside that locker room knew that they'd be in great hands with Brendan Sullivan through the summer and through the offseason. But like Michael Jamerson, too, as well as having him depart, and then you've got Caleb Smith step into that role, where last year was a pretty big factor on the ground, but nothing like we've seen this year. So it's been a next man up mentality for these Cardinals, and Jake Weingarts and his staff have done a really great job of getting guys ready. Now we see Pizzala, the 11th man, checking onto the field as they've got time, 10 seconds on the play clock. This play will start the second quarter. Sullivan, play fake, throws it to Pizzala, and he's hit immediately. Dropped for a big loss on 2nd down and 5. Make it 3rd down and about 7 now, as that play was blown up by Brian Brown.
Yeah, Sullivan's been kind of leaning towards those short passes out wide this game, but looks like Lapeer is able to read those a lot better now, kind of prepared for it. And not only just because of that, because these teams already played each other once, they're able to read each other a lot better now.
And so here's 3rd and 7. Let's see if the Cardinals open it up a little bit and have Sullivan rolling out to his left side. That's where he's got 3 receivers and a lot of room to work with. Timeout coming from the near sideline, and the Lightning taking a defensive timeout. So we've seen 2 timeouts in this first half, one by each team, and both have been defensive. And both of them, if you're keeping track, have been on big third down plays. Cardinals took one on that 3rd and 11 where the Lightning were able to convert, but a flag moved it back. That made it 4th and very long. Lightning punted it away, and now the Cardinals have it on their ensuing possession. 3 drives for the Cardinals. The first one was a quick 3-and-out. Second one, a nice drive downfield, couple of conversions, and a Brendan Sullivan touchdown as he was able to keep it on the ground, keep the ball in his hands, and looked like a pass play. Just kept it himself and found the end zone.
Yeah, and to our viewers on our stream in our channel, sorry if you just saw a little bit black out there. We had to change batteries on our camera. Might have 1 or 2 more of those that night, depending on how long the battery lasts, but should be fine for right now.
We've got the generators, 2 generators going. One of them is to keep our streaming equipment at least somewhat warm, and then the other one are just to keep us warm underneath our table that we've got set up here. But we're doing fine so far. Probably going to swap the propane tanks out at halftime. Don't want those to die.
Yeah, the equipment seems to be holding up pretty well in the cold, too. Mid-20s right now.
Here's 3rd and 7. Looks like the same formation for the Cardinals. Nobody out to the right for Brendan. 3 to his left. Kreiderman in the backfield, kind of running on a small screen. Brendan keeps it himself, looks to get rid of it as he's got pressure, and he'll go down past the 35 at about the 37-yard line for another loss. So a big play on first down to end the first quarter, but here to start the second, it's been back-to-back losses, and that's going to make it 4th and 7, maybe 4th and 8. Cardinals will boot it away.
Yeah, and this season, Sullivan hasn't been too keen on just throwing it away. He's like to try and keep the ball and get as many yards as he can, but in those situations, you really just got to get rid of it as soon as possible when you have all those players swarming you.
When you saw that touchdown as well that Sullivan had, that was some pressure. He was able to just kind of slip his way up the middle and into the secondary. Got a couple big blocks, and then from there was a foot race that Sullivan won.
Yeah, but on that last play, he was getting forced out quite a bit. Couldn't do much there.
19 is Chandler Thrower to boot this one away. This a high end-over-end kick past midfield, and it's going to bounce. Wow, take a nice running roll down the far sideline. And it does stay alive, but it ducked out at about the 36, 37. You saw the nice roll that went all the way down to about the 20. If that would have stayed in, that would have been huge, but unfortunately did skip out of bounds at about the 36, where the Lightning will have pretty good field position. 1st and 10 with 10:25 remaining until halftime.
Yeah, and like you said earlier, they brought out some JV players, he being one of them. He usually plays quarterback, I believe, but it looks like he's got a good arm and a good foot.
Yep, saw Thrower on and off in the quarterback role at the JV level this season. And then, yeah, pretty good punt there. We saw Densmore kicking earlier for the Cardinals. Looks like a Lightning man alone up top as the Cardinals not in the greatest formation. Dixon keeps it himself on a blown formation by the Cardinals, but worked out well for the Lightning there on first down. And the problem that is Phoenix Dixon for Davison to try to stifle tonight. In the air on the first drive, the Lightning were able to get 2 big pass plays to get into the end zone. Since then, though, the Davison up front pressure defensively, it's gotten to LaBelle. So the Lightning have responded, say, we'll just keep it with Dixon. That's where they found most of their success.
Yeah, I mean, in that Romeo matchup, it took them a whole half to try and stop that run defense, and once they did, they were fantastic at it. I wonder if they're going to be able to do that a little bit earlier today.
Dixon takes it far to the left side, now works his way up the middle, and a big stop by the Cardinals. They control the leverage there, and I think Dixon actually went backwards maybe a half yard. They say no gain and make it 3rd down and 2 coming up as we just passed the 10-minute marker here in the second quarter.
It's pretty good D here by defense showing out right now. Able to make some pretty big tackles when they need to.
And so on this 3rd and short, you bet that they'll keep it with Dixon. We did see the senior try to throw as he started running to his right and then stopped, threw it in the air for Kyle Saar. And if he was able to connect with his fellow senior, that would have been a touchdown. But unfortunately for the Lightning and fortunately for the Cardinals, it was about 4 or 5 yards overthrown and complete. Here's 3rd and short. And a flag flies. The play clock was not at 0, but the Cardinals clapping their hands. I think the Lightning moved early.
Yeah, and they got to watch those flags. I mean, it's a district game. You can't be getting called for silly stuff like false starts, offsides.
Well, we saw a lot of flags in that first game in Week 9, where it was almost over 200 yards by both teams, and that was just incredible. The penalties in that ball game. Again, you remember for the Cardinals, a drive that ended in no points, had 2 plays, both resulting in touchdowns that were called back by penalties.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that's been plaguing them this season when they're hot like that.
Here's 3rd and 7. LaBelle now looking to throw pressure coming from his right. In some trouble, he sails it in the air, and it's going to be tipped and picked by Pasco down the sideline. Pasco to the 15, 10, 5, touchdown. No flags on the play, and a defensive pick 6 for the Cardinals.
It's 2 weeks in a row now picking off the opposing quarterback. And, I mean, great pressure there in the pocket by the defensive line. And then the Cardinals are able to get over there on the sideline and tip it. And Pasco able to pick that tip up and run it in for a touchdown.
The senior with the pick 6 for Davison for their 2nd score of the first half. And an absolute game changer here early in the 2nd quarter. 9:04 to play before halftime, but a big momentum switch towards the Cardinals as the extra point squad out on the field to make it a 7-point difference. Not only was that huge as it was tipped up in the air, looked like by Flowers. Some pressure on the far side, flags fly as a kick is good. But it looked like a Lightning front man jumped too early trying to get some penetration and block the kick. Let's see what Davison does here. I'd likely think that they would just take the extra point. But if they accept it, this could go on the kick. Big on Pasco to come down with the football, but not only get the interception, but stay in bounds on the far sideline. Then had a big convoy to the end zone.
Yeah, I mean, with that Davison special teams, Hopkins been making consistent kicks this year.
So they'll have to re-kick it.
I don't know. Okay, so they said that it was a dead ball penalty, so the Cardinals will have to re-kick here. It looks to be Densmore to hold. High snap, kick is up, and that's going to be enough to... Oh, it kicked off of the right crossbar and snuck its way in. So fortunately, the Cardinals able to get their extra point despite the Lapeer penalty.
That was a close one.
The Cardinals defensively, they've made their noise throughout the season, but a big defensive touchdown for the Cardinals.
Yeah, I mean, NY proclaimed the Cardinals the best offense in the state, and they're not necessarily showing that tonight. They're showing how good their defense and offense are together, working in unison.
Well, in a play like that, too, it not only puts points up on your scoreboard, but it keeps banged up Brendan Sullivan off of the field, and it gives you a touchdown. And it just, any time your quarterback, let alone a banged up quarterback, can get points and break a 7-7 tie to put you up by a touchdown, that's huge.
Yeah, I mean, Sullivan and Latrell have both been taking some heavy hits this season. Both had some injuries that they've had to deal with over the course of the season, so keeping them off the field is all they want right now, because these Lapeer kids hit hard, and the last thing they need to do is take some hits from all these guys.
So that will certainly fire up the Cardinals as they lead it 14-7 with 9:04 to play in the first half. Davison will boot this one away. Nice kick across the 15, going to be fielded at about the 10. That's going to deflect off the Lapeer return man. Let's see what the Cardinals can do with it. Spun around and dropped at the 10-yard line. Cardinal defense going to be tucked in nice and cozy in Lapeer territory.
Yeah, I mean, that's some pretty great defense there by the Cardinals, able to stop him quick, and didn't help that hit his helmet either.
Well, I saw a pile that was a little bit late, as I think that it was Gabe Smith trying to come away with the football after the whistles. Fortunately, no penalties thrown, but just do your job, get the tackle, and get your defense out on the field, and that's exactly what the Cardinals do, as the Lightning have it at their own 19-yard line, or I'm sorry, 14-yard line, 1st and 10. Dixon looks to be the man in the backfield. Play clock is down to 15, and the Lightning look like they've got some confusion going on. Asking if they should call a timeout, they don't. Down to 10 seconds as they bring a man in late. Down to 7. I think the Lightning going to get this off. Down to 3 seconds, they do. Dixon rolling to his right. Got some blockers. Pizzala comes over, can't make the tackle, and Dixon going to have enough for a first down. What looked like would be a disastrous start to that drive in their own territory. Phoenix Dixon eliminates, starting in bad territory, gives the Lightning the ball now at about the 26-yard line, 1st and 10.
That did not look like Davison expected that at all. I mean, if they saw all those receivers out wide, they were more so expecting a pass by Dixon, but ran out the middle and he had blockers, so he was able to get first down.
Well, and Dixon did throw it to Sarr earlier in this half, and it would have been a touchdown. So not only does it make you respect the run and what Phoenix Dixon can do on the ground, but you have to be waiting for a play fake at some point, potentially. 8:45 to play. Dixon now to the left. Patient running, trying to bounce outside. Makes one man miss. Pile is at about the 25-yard line, and Dixon goes backwards, and there's a late flag. You've got to make the tackle and get out of the pile because you had a loss on the play there, and now a flag is going to move the Lightning forward a bit.
Yeah, Harrison Unger didn't look too happy about that. He was shrugging that off as soon as the ref threw the flag.
It didn't look like the play was over by that much. I mean, it certainly looked to be dead. But you've got to make your play and then get away from the pile because now just like that, you've lost a bit of momentum.
Yeah, I mean, foul trouble. That seems like it's what's gonna cost one of the teams tonight.
You're looking at a 2nd and 10. That is going to go away and give the Lightning now a 1st and 10 at the 41-yard line.
A lot better field position now for the Lightning, not so much for the Cardinals.
Well, and Davison making a couple of mistakes in that first game is what kept the Lightning alive. You remember that punt that deflected off a Cardinal player's helmet and gave the Lightning a fresh set of downs in Cardinal territory. Dixon takes it right into the line of scrimmage and does not get much. They're going to give him he only got 2 yards. The far line judge came in at about the 43, but I don't think he nearly got that far. They're going to give Dixon, the senior, a yard gain on 1st and 10, make it 2nd and 9, just passing the 8-minute marker here in the second quarter.
Yeah, and I mean, they were rolling there for a second. Now they just got stopped.
Well, and
Right.
still in Lightning territory, so defensively you do lose a little bit of fire, but you got to bounce back. 2nd down and 9. One big play away from making it 3rd and long for the Lightning. Lapeer loads up the line of scrimmage. Dixon rolls to his left. Tries to work middle now, and he's going to go down at about the line of scrimmage. I don't think he got anything there on 2nd and down, and it's going to be 3rd down this time. Still 9 yards to go at the Lightning 42-yard line.
Yeah, it looks like it's been a rough set of downs so far for the Lightning. Not able to get much out of this.
Cardinals have found their success if they can stop Dixon on 1st and 2nd down and force LaBelle in a throwing situation on 3rd and long. That's exactly what we've got here. Last time LaBelle had some pressure, just sailed it in the air, and it was tipped by Flowers, intercepted by Pasco. He took it to the house. Cardinals in front, 14-7. LaBelle looking to throw left side now. One man in the area, caught at the 37-yard line. Harrison Terry was the man in the area for the coverage, but Brian Brown able to come down with it. One-on-one coverage, and Brown going to win that matchup every single time.
Yeah, it looks like he was trying to get a hand on it, but just wasn't able to reach up to it. But Brown able to make that grab, sailed right into his hands. Great throw there by LaBelle.
Just a designed two-step drop for LaBelle and just hang it in the air for Brown to come down with it, and he did just that. LaBelle now looking to throw right side. Pressure in the pocket, keeps it himself. Up the middle now in a foot race across the 20. Steps out of bounds at the 15. Cardinals got their pressure, but LaBelle able to step up in the pocket and find a lot of room to work with. 6:45 to play in the first half, but the Lightning driving quickly down Cardinal territory.
Yeah, and LaBelle just did right there. Something that Sullivan needs to add to his game soon. He needs to know when to go out of bounds, when to stop trying to take the hit, because that's been costing him lately. Taking too many big hits, and he's getting banged out because of it.
Cardinals got the pressure, but I think overextended outside and just left nothing but room to work with for LaBelle up the middle. 1st and 10 at the 15. Man in motion. LaBelle going to give it up the middle. I think the ball carrier is McKenna. So he's going to be dropped not too far past the line of scrimmage, and it is the sophomore. McKenna was the man on the punt. It landed in his hands, and if you saw the clip, that actually ended up on College Game Day, started to run towards the Cardinals section, then stopped, and his teammates trying to turn him around. But that punt that was recovered by the Lightning, I think was a game changer because Cardinals defensively were getting off the field. They had the lead, or they were in a tight ball game with that Lightning score. Really turned the tables in that ball game in Week 9.
Yeah, it's those little things that really add up over time, and that was more so a big thing.
2nd and 7, LaBelle looking to the end zone. Sails it for Brown, and it's going to fall just out of the senior's grasp to the back of the end zone, incomplete.
Looks like he was just overthrown there, just not able to get to that one.
But again, had the step, and if LaBelle drops that in the area of 15, that's a touchdown.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like LaBelle knows where he's going before the play even starts, so if Davison can get on it, put some better coverage on him, then...
And so you see Terry checking out, and they're going to match up Fordham with Brian Brown. I think that's a much favorable matchup for the Cardinals as Harrison Terry is looking beat.
Yeah, plus Fordham got some height and maybe tip some passes.
Here's 3rd and 7. LaBelle looking right side now, sails it towards the pylon, and it's going to be batted away incomplete. A big stop by the Cardinals. Let's see if the Lightning move the field goal unit out on the field, and I think they will here. 4th down and 7. They've got it at the 12.
Yeah, Latrell was able to put some great coverage there on Brown, so LaBelle had to go over outright instead. That's exactly what the Cardinals wanted out of that.
That was Flowers up top on the far side, that able to bat that away. That would have given the Lightning a fresh shot. But now a 4th and 7, and the Lightning look to boot this one through. This is Michael Mustin, the senior. Kick is a line drive, and it's in. It's no good. A big stop as Mustin, normally automatic for the Lightning, pushes that one to the left and didn't look like it was given a shot. Might have kicked it off of the laces the way that ball flew, but regardless, no points on a drive that looked like it would fall towards the Lightning's favor. But a big stop by the Cardinals with 5:59, just underneath the 6-minute marker before halftime.
Yeah, last time these two teams met, Mike was a savior for the Lightning. He was able to bang that field goal in between the uprights in double overtime, and he was hailed as just the savior.
Well, in the first field goal, as the Lightning had it, their defensive unit went out on the field in the first overtime, held the Cardinals scoreless, and then his what would have been a game-winning field goal in the first overtime was blocked. Now, the rule is you can't advance any type of fumble in overtime, interception, anything. High snap as Sullivan rolls to his right, trying to work his way back to the 20, and he's going to step out of bounds, I think, a few yards behind the line of scrimmage, as that certainly didn't look like the Cardinals were going to have any success on that play. The Lightning got a lot of penetration off the edge and forced the yard loss, make it 2nd and 11.
Yeah, I wonder if that was what they were really planning on that play, because it didn't seem like he had the blockers to make that distance up the field in that type of situation.
I think a point that you had said earlier, Mason, is just as many times as you can keep the ball out of the hands of Sullivan, just in terms of that left shoulder, unless it must be feeling better, but here he goes, looking left on 2nd and long. Thrown, it's caught by Fordham at the 25-yard line. Falls forward for a nice gain, but a few yards short of the line to gain. This is going to be 3rd and short, 5:45 to play in the second quarter.
Yeah, he's throwing the ball a lot more than he was last week. I mean, he had just under 200 yards last week. Not as much as he had before the season, but he's getting back into the swing of things now. Last week, it was the Caleb Smith show.
Cardinals have not found that much success on the ground in this first half. A lot of their conversions have come in the air, so you wonder if they'll try to keep it in the air.
Well, yeah, they have two assets with Latrell Fordham and Adrian Terry, as well as Flowers. So they have some confidence in who they have catching the balls.
It's Terry and Fordham on the right side of Sullivan, 2 in the backfield. Looks to be pass going Unger. Sullivan will keep it himself, looking long to throw. Goes over top. Fordham, it's overthrown, intercepted at the 40-yard line. The Lightning with the interception, and that's going to give Lapeer the football back at the 40-yard line with 4:55 to play before halftime. There is a flag back at about the 26 or 7-yard line. Let's see what this call is.
Yeah, important pick there if that goes the way Lapeer wanted it to.
And that's on the Cardinals, so that won't change the fact that the Lightning will have the football as the clock is running right now, and I'm not sure that it's supposed to be.
Yeah, Sullivan threw 2 interceptions last week. That was a lot more than we've been used to seeing him do this season. Looks like he's still not getting quite back in the swing of things, especially after those injuries keep banging him up.
Clock finally stops at 4:18, but it was 4:55 when the interception happened, and of course immediately that on a change of possession will stop a clock. So I'm not sure why a good 30 seconds, 40 seconds just melted off the clock there.
Yeah, I wonder if the refs are going to notice that.
I don't think they will. No, it doesn't look like they will, but pretty significant, especially if a team is going to be trying to drive late here in the first half. But it'll be 1st and 10 at the 40 for the Lightning. They try a little bit of a reverse. It's Brown looking to throw the football. Pressure, stepping up, able to get rid of it, but it falls incomplete as he was trying to go actually backwards to Dixon. But a wild attempt by Lapeer that fortunately the Cardinals got the pressure to force the incompletion.
Yeah, that bump fake there, it looked like originally he was actually going to go that direction before he saw that Davison hand pop up. So changed his direction, tossed it over to Dixon, but just wasn't there.
Well, and that was fortunate by Brown, too, because the passer in that situation, because he just turned and didn't even look if anyone was back by Dixon. He just turned and threw it. If there was a Cardinal lined up on the senior Dixon, that's likely an interception the way that it was underthrown. But regardless, 2nd and 10. Clock stopped at 4:11. Brown in motion. Terry trying to mirror him and stay with him. Here's the give to Dixon, and he's going to be popped at the line of scrimmage, falls forward for maybe a gain. But the Cardinals have been clamping down on the senior Phoenix Dixon. Again, a 3rd and long situation upcoming for the Lightning. Under 4 minutes to play in the first half.
Yeah, and I mean, if they're going to get something going, now would be the best time to do it. They're in their own territory. Got to get the ball moving up the field if they want to have a chance at a touchdown or at least a field goal.
LaBelle's in the backfield with 3:40 left in the second quarter. One-on-one coverage out to the right. LaBelle this time looking near sideline. Throws it up for Brown. One-hand grab is incomplete, but they whistle Terry for the pass interference call. I don't think that... Boy.
I think he was pretty aware of when the ball was in the air. It looked like he made contact only when the ball was thrown. I don't know if they're going to keep that one or not.
Again, we see Terry coming off, and Fordham... I think you've got to keep that coverage. You've got to have Latrell Fordham guarding Brian Brown. That is the guy that the Lightning will look to go to. And Harrison Terry just physically does not look like he matches up with the size of Brian Brown.
Yeah, I mean, Latrell's a taller guy. It's certainly a better matchup. Not to mention he's got some pops to help him out and tipping those passes and making just better coverage.
So on a 3rd and long incompletion, the penalty gives the Lightning a fresh shot, now in Cardinal territory. 3.5 minutes left before halftime. Here's the give up the middle. A lot of room, contact, and dropped at about the 35-yard line.
Looks like he's going to be just short of a first down there, but pretty good run. Davison's something they got to really target, stopping that run game. Looks like they're getting a little bit too worried about the passing game.
That's the junior Bronson Butler that just took it, had some pretty good speed up the middle as well. And you're right, Mason, just shy of a first down. 3:10 to play, 2nd and 2. Looks like 2nd and 1. Scoreboard shows 2, rather. Give again to Bronson, trying to bounce out to the left. He's going to be tripped up. Did he get enough, though?
He's hitting the ground. It doesn't look like he...
That's Logan Pascoe down at about the 35-yard line.
Yeah, that's
he looks to be shaken up there.
Yeah, leader on that defense, that's the last thing they want to see. Looks like he's holding his forearm there.
And so the Cardinal that's got the defensive touchdown for Davison, it gives the Cardinals the advantage. Clock is frozen at 2:58 as Pascoe is down at about the 34-yard line. Kyle Hall out there with Randy Schlack, it looks to be, to attend to the senior captain for the Cardinals here in 2019. And you're right, Mason, not what you want to see as Pascoe going to be able to stand up. As this looks like well, now he's got his arms around Kyle and Schlack. I'm not sure what this is. It looked like he was clutching his arm.
Yeah, I mean, he's a leader on this team. He's a key motivator, and he's a real morale booster on the sideline and on the field. And he's a leader on that defense. If there's quarterback position on the defense, he'd be in it because he's that leader that they need. 2:58
to play before halftime as Butler was able to get the first down. So it's going to be 1st and 10. The Lightning will have it. They continue to move their way through Cardinal territory. A big penalty, a pass interference penalty on Harrison Terry on 3rd and 10. Gave the Lightning a fresh shot.
Looks like his right wrist was a lot less loose than his left. Might be a right wrist injury or something along that line.
Dixon is the man in the backfield for the Lightning. They do have a couple of receivers out to the right. You'd likely think that Dixon will just keep it himself here, though. Takes it right up the gut after the snap. Across the 30, shy of the 25. But a big gain there on 1st and 10. 2:35 to play before halftime. Cardinal defense trying to shut the door the last drive. Michael Mustin missed the field goal try. That was a little bit past 30-yard try.
Yeah, and that Cardinals still haven't really been to lock down the run game yet. And that's going to be their key to stopping them in the second half if they don't get it done right now.
Well, you're really hoping for a stop here on 2nd down to keep the clock moving. A first down stops the clock momentarily for the Chains. Dixon will look to throw over the middle. Nobody home. And a Lightning touchdown.
It's way too many people pile up in the pocket there, but great awareness there by Dixon, able to float it right over for an easy reception for a touchdown.
That's just too easy that you cannot give that up. And the Lightning tie up this ball game. They scored on their first drive, haven't scored since.
Good awareness there by Asar, able to make that route run out to the end zone. And it looks like we need a little bit more awareness from the defense, able to be ready for anything, because you never know what Lapeer is going to bring.
Mustin's kick this time much more up to par, and he drills it through the uprights. We're tied at 14, 2:02 to play in the first half. You remember, Mason, it was Saar, as Dixon earlier in this half tried to go on that, looked like that same route, tried to throw it in the air, but it was overthrown. This time Dixon drops it right in the hands of Saar to tie up this ball game at 14 apiece.
Yeah, he's able to connect with him. Lapeer is looking to finally find their rhythm on offense, and that's not good for Davison at all. They got to hop back on defense, keep it tough. You know, last time these two teams met twice in a season, Davison was able to come away with both wins back in 2017. That year they went on to lose to Clarkson in the playoffs in districts. So it's not their first rodeo meeting in regular season and playoffs.
It is for Jake Weingartz, though. Obviously, having to answer to the Lightning at home, right where you'd want your crosstown matchup. And then, of course, for Jake Weingartz, the community he had come from. Now the Lightning calling their special team unit together.
Got about 2 minutes left on the clock. Score is all tied up now, 14-14 after that touchdown there. Easy pass from Dixon over to Saar.
Logan Pasco defensively checked out with what looked like an injury. We weren't sure where to tell, but he is standing at about the 34. So he is back on this kick return unit.
Yeah, that's a good sign. Maybe it was a sprain or something. Something a little minor.
Well, and as you mentioned, Mason, a defensive captain and a guy that you don't want to see go down in this ball game. 2:02 up on the clock, and the Lightning set to kick this one away as Mustin drills this one through the air, and that's going to be returned, caught at about the 4-yard line, return up the middle, and dropped at about the 30. A nice return there, under 2 minutes to play before we stop for halftime, as it was a nice return. That was Jalen Flowers. But, man, you go back to about the clock incident where the interception happened at 4:55. They stopped the clock at 4:11. That's about a good half minute where the Cardinals would love to have up on the scoreboard right now, trying to find some points here before halftime.
Yeah, it's high school football. Stuff happens. The refs
That's right.
Catch everything.
Yep, that's right. 1st and 10, the Cards have it at the 30. Let's see if they try to drill up or dial up a big play. Sullivan rolling to his left, looks to throw, caught by Fordham, tries to lower his shoulder. He's across the 35, but that will run this clock down to 1:45 and counting. 2nd down and about 5 upcoming for Davison. You have to think here with 1:40 remaining before halftime, a big play is going to have to present itself for the Cardinals at some point.
Yeah, I mean, these little games just aren't going to work in late game situations.
Sullivan again throws to Fordham, caught, and he's got the first down, pushed out of bounds. No, they say incomplete.
It would have been a great grab, though, in double coverage, but it looks like he stepped out of bounds before he was able to haul it in.
Boy, it certainly looked like he caught it, and I guess that must have been the call, is that he was out of bounds, but I'm not so sure. But it does make a quick 3rd down and 4 as the clock is stopped at 1:27. The last thing that you want to do is have the football in the Lightning's possession before halftime with some time on the clock.
Davison's been pretty successful on these conversions, though. I think they'll be just fine here.
Let's see. Sullivan with a man in motion, and it's Flowers, works his way to the right. 3rd and short. Sullivan keeps it himself up the middle. He's got the first down. Tries to find the sideline. Sullivan still on his feet. Still on his feet across midfield. And finally out of bounds at the 40-yard line. Incredible footwork by the junior quarterback to slice his way for a big conversion.
Yeah, and like I said earlier, he loves going the extra mile, fighting for extra yards. And in a lot of situations, he's gotten banged up because of it. But that situation, it was smart. He was able to break through some of those tackles, run the right way, and get plenty more yards that will help him in this late half drive.
On a 20-yard gain for Sullivan, and it also stops the clock at 1:17. 3 to the left of Sullivan, 1 split out to the right. Brennan looking to throw. He does over the air, sails it over the head of Fordham, who was setting himself up nicely in coverage. Yeah. But the clock does stop at 1:13. That any positive, if anything, there on 1st down to take away.
Yeah, way high throw there. He had Fordham. He also had Smith out wide. I'm surprised he didn't go to him. He's been loving those short passes, and Smith had a lot of space to work with.
Cardinals with a big play by Brendan Sullivan. Both teams with 2 timeouts left, tied at 14. 1:13 left on the clock. Cardinals trying to work their way into the end zone and break this tie game. Trying to set up a screen, they do. It's caught by Fordham. Bounces outside across the 40-yard line, and he's not going to get much past the line of scrimmage. And the Cardinals going to call a timeout quickly as the clock lost about 3 seconds since the whistles went there. So, boy, if anything comes down to clock here in this ball game, it's going to be against your favor if you're the Cardinals.
Yeah, good decision here on the sideline. Looks like they're kind of losing their rhythm on the offensive end. Need to talk some things over, get it back going.
This is a 3rd down and 7 upcoming for the Cards at the 37-yard line as both teams huddle it up here.
What do you think they're talking about in that huddle right now? What do you think they're trying to iron out?
Well, just real quick, they do put a couple of seconds back up on the clock. I think they said 1:05, so the Cardinals will get a few seconds back there. But I think Davison here just drawing up their 3rd down conversion, and I think it's got to be Fordham, but the Lightning likely trying to look for something in the air to Fordham. But you've got to remember that with 1 timeout left, you've got to use it sparingly. So trying to work the sideline, I think, is pivotal here for the Cardinals, Mason.
Yeah, I mean, going out wide for a pass and just running right out of bounds like Sullivan did on that run play right there to get the first. I think that's the route they need to go to.
So you saw the scoreboard move to 1:05 as both teams slowly starting to break their huddles on a big upcoming 3rd down. We've seen Davison fare pretty well here in this first half on 3rd down conversions, but none bigger than right now. Sullivan on 3rd and 4 earlier on this drive had a 20-yard scamper. 1:05 on the clock before halftime. Here's 3rd and 7. They fake the give, play fake, pressure in the backfield. Sullivan is going to go down.
And that's the last thing the Cardinals want on that. I mean, tackle on the QB did not work out in their favor.
I thought the Lightning for sure would try to take a timeout, but they're going to let this clock go all the way down. There's about a 16-second differential between the game clock and the play clock. So the Cardinals can take this one on 4th down all the way down to 16 seconds and try to kick this away. They'll probably take it all the way down right where the play clock's about at 2 and use their timeout.
Yeah, keeping Sullivan on right now. Wonder what they're planning out there.
Well, they got that timeout. They're going to use it here right before this play clock expires. 2 seconds, 1 second, and the Cardinals do use a timeout. It's going to stop at 15 seconds. So the Cardinals, I would likely think, just try to kick this one in the air, eat off as many seconds of the clock as they can, and then you'd think the Lightning maybe just run out the rest of this clock here in the first half and send us to the locker rooms tied. But you never know. 4th down and 6, the Cardinals could maybe just try to draw up a jump ball in the end zone if Sullivan can get enough time and try to get the football there.
Yeah, I mean, it's only 16 seconds left. If they turn over on downs, worst things come to worst. Lapeer gets like 1 or 2 plays off and gets a little bit of a gain. But you never know. I mean, it's high school football, and Lapeer's a great team.
I think pretty interesting enough, Fordham has not been locked up by Brown, who you'd think just with the size by both teams that Fordham and Brown would be one-on-one against each other, but that's not been the case in this first half. So I think Fordham with the size advantage, if you threw something up in the athleticism as well, you try a shot, you could potentially have him by a step down the sideline.
Yeah, and he's been making consistent grabs here too.
Yeah. So let's see what the Cardinals do as the Lightning are awaiting the Cardinals to head back on the field. Davison still huddled up, trying to get broken up, and the play clock does start. Right on the whistle, the Cardinals snap back towards the line of scrimmage. 15 seconds on the clock before halftime, 4th and 6, and the Cardinals lining up looking like they'll go for it. Maybe they might. We've seen Sullivan just take a snap and kick it, but he's not that deep. I think here the Cardinals trying something offensively. Takes the snap, looking. Sullivan looking. He's going to be stripped from behind. Loose football. The Lightning have it. And the play is blown dead as they say that Sullivan had thrown that football. Boy, that's a big call.
It looked like he made the throwing motion there, so I agree with that call.
I think that he was stripped from behind. As you could see it timing itself up perfectly as Sullivan was looking to throw. It will be Lightning football with 7 seconds left. Let's see what Lapeer goes to here.
Yeah, they looked like they were going to go all the way on that one, so fans certainly not happy about that one.
Sullivan just too much time that he was taking as you've either got to tuck in and run for the sideline or try to take an end zone shot.
Yeah, that's one thing he's done a lot this season. He's waiting around in the pocket too much. He's got to get rid of that ball, whether it's out on the sideline or it's to your receiver.
if any positive from that, more than half of the time ticked away, as the Cardinals have 3 on the line, 4 kind of staggered around the flats at about the 40, 45-yard line, and then 3 men deep. LaBelle is in the backfield, and I think the Lightning might try some trickery here with 7 seconds left before halftime. They take the snap, give up the middle, dropped at about the 41-yard line, and Lapeer takes, did they use a timeout? Nope, the clock stopped for a moment, but that will do it. Both teams tied at 14 through 2 quarters of play, 24 minutes up. Halftime now finds us in Lapeer, Michigan, and exactly the score that most people had expected in a tight matchup in Week 9. We've got the same 14-14 our score at the end of 2 quarters.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what comes out of the second half.
We'll go ahead and step aside here for halftime and keep it with us as the third quarter will start here in just a few moments, as they've got 15 minutes up and counting on the scoreboard. Back in a few moments for the start of the third quarter.
To the field for a halftime performance.
Nice work. Nice work. Go down, warm up. All right, hey, Trav. Do the day for them. Put on. Okay. Hey, Randy. Like right before you start the half, maybe swap this equipment. I will.
we'd like to welcome our award-winning and incredible Lapeer Marching Band to the field. are Rachel Cole, Alex Gonzalez, and Ann Saunders. Color guard captains are Sydney McPherson and Christine Curry, and dance captain is Hannah Hunt.
Another round of applause for both those great high school bands. Great job.
Take that backpack off that chair and give me that chair, Trevor. Yeah. Yeah. Take this. This just comes out just like this. Just like that. Here. This one off. Yeah. It should twist. Got it? We'll keep it. You guys want to get that? Yep. Should smell propane. Let's do it.
Lapeer had won the toss and deferred to the second half, so they will be receiving. Like sports, I think it's one for all our community. They rules, teach good sportsmanship, and bring us all together. That's why Myers goes above and beyond to support hundreds of local teams in the Midwest, including your very own. From the Little Leagues to the Big Leagues, and from uniforms to stadium, Myers knows what sport your home dreams. Varsity and McKenna are good for the Lightning.
All right, let's roll. Hold on a second.
Back at Lapeer, Michigan, as we're set to start the second half, as the Lightning won the coin toss. The Cardinals will kick to the Lightning to get us going in quarter number 3. Chris Jared rejoining you on DTV's YouTube stream, also on Davison Charter Channel 191. Mason Palmantier with me tonight, and our DTV crew hard at work back at Davison High School in the DTV control room. Big shout out to everyone back there, getting you Cardinal football playoff action on the air here in the 11th week of the 2019 season. And Mason, boy, what a tight one that we had there in the first half. Saw it all. I mean, you saw some big plays offensively by the Cardinals, defensively as well. An offensive touchdown, a defensive touchdown. The Lightning as well, as good as advertised, and it's locked us up here at 14 apiece as the Lightning get us going offensively in the third quarter. Play fake as LaBelle will dump it over the middle, tipped in the air, and it falls incomplete. Good pressure by the Cardinals as they're able to get a hand on the football and almost picked it off on the first play here in the third quarter.
Yeah, like you were saying, it's been a pretty close game so far, just as predicted, so should be a pretty good game here on out.
We switched our propane tanks, and we're keeping everything warm here up on top of the press box. As the Cardinals start defensively, as we talked about there in the first half, really sound on defense, especially when the Lightning are in their own territory, hindered by a couple of penalties, but trying to clean that aspect up. Run game on the ground, trying to go off the edge, and the Cardinals flock to the football, and that's Unger in there as well to bring down the ball carrier that looked to be McKenna.
Yeah, and the Cardinals have done a pretty good job on stopping the run game so far. I mean, in the first quarter, it was a little loose, but now they're tightening things up out in the backfield.
And that's Kyle Saar, who was the ball carrier, and he got brought down. That's going to bring it to a quick 3rd and 13.
Yeah, not much of a better way to start out a quarter than a 3rd and out or 3 and out like that, if they get it here.
Cardinals secondary tested in the first half. Here's their first test of the second half. Unloading deep to the far sideline. It's picked off by Flowers. A little bit of a return on as the sophomores hit and dropped at about the 47-yard line. And Davison with their second interception on LaBelle in this game.
Certainly going to take that over a 3 and out. Wow. Did not see that coming.
The second defensive interception by the Cardinals. Pasco, the first one was a pick six, but you'll certainly take this one as Davison shuts the door on the Lightning on Lapeer's first offensive drive.
Yeah, and this Davison secondary has just been on fire the last 2 weeks. Last week they only allowed 1 completion out of 13 attempts, and this week they already got 2 interceptions racked up.
You look back in the first half how this ball game started. The Cardinals' first offensive possession was a quick 3 and out. They punted it away to the Lightning, who 2 big pass plays was capped by a Phoenix Dixon touchdown run to the left pylon in the far end zone. Cardinals now moving from right to left. Here's Davison in their first offensive drive of this half. Give up the middle and not much going on as Caleb Smith has not been able to get the run game going. You talked about it as Pasco comes away kind of limping from the pile asking for a sub. He's been getting banged up in this ball game. But Mason, you said it that Davison in the first playoff game against the Bulldogs of Romeo on the road, that one was in the district semifinal, but it was the Caleb Smith show, really led by the efforts from the senior in the backfield and defensively as well. But Caleb with some big touchdowns by the Cardinals, I believe 4 for Smith in that game against Romeo, but trying to get him going here in the second half. Sullivan will look to throw. Little play fake, trying to unload to Fordham. It's a loose ball in the air, caught on the far sideline, and that's Terry with the catch.
Huge gain there, and last time they went for a big play out to the side like that, it was called incomplete on Latrell. This time they were able to get the inbound completion and rack up quite a few yards in the action of it.
Looked underthrown by Sullivan, but they tried Brian Brown, and it was right where it should have been, right by the sideline, and now the officials, I think, calling for time. And Jake Weingart's now out talking to the head official as they're waiting for the chain gang to get set up. A big play as Sullivan able to connect with Terry for his first catch, first big catch, should say, and that's going to set the Cardinals up nicely in Lightning territory at the 17-yard line, 1st and 10.
Only a minute and 47 in, and Davison's already coming out with a bang. Huge interception by Jalen Flowers, and now they're making big plays down the field into Lapeer territory.
And you wonder if the Cardinals will keep the foot on the pedal and try to take an end zone shot or just chip away at this Lightning defense on some quick routes in the air. Sullivan with company in the backfield. He's got 2 receivers out to his right. Give is to Smith. Caleb across the 15, still on his feet, trying for the far pylon. Stiff arms a defender and forced out at the 5.
Beautiful technique there on that stiff arm, able to keep the defender away and get a couple more yards off that run that he wouldn't have gotten if he hadn't used that technique.
Kyle Saar asking for hands to the face, but the stiff arm from Caleb Smith forcing his way to a 1st and goal situation at about the 6-yard line.
Yeah, got to watch out for that foul trouble. It looks like it was a close one there.
And that was all Caleb Smith as he was able to work his way to the 5, shed a couple of tacklers, and you wonder if they'll keep it on the ground to Smith. Davison with a few big plays to get them going here in the second half, and a touchdown would be huge to open the doors in half number 2. Sullivan will give it to Smith. Works his way across the 5-yard line, spinning for the end zone. I don't think he got it. The pile's going to be shy by about a yard, but a big run by Caleb Smith to put the Cardinals knocking on the Lightning's doorstep. 2nd and goal, upcoming at the 1.
Yeah, Smith again showing off some nice technique. First with that stiff arm, now with that nice little spin move, able to get a yard or two more off of that run.
Got to remember, with a banged-up quarterback, a QB sneak is going to put your junior at risk of being in that pile. Cardinals here on 2nd and goal. They mark it at the 2. Give it to Smith up the middle, into the end zone for a touchdown.
Sullivan could not be happier. He's hopping around. That's the best way for him to start out the quarter, too. Not just at 9:33 left so far. Already coming out with a touchdown. Perfect for them.
A big defensive stop by the Cardinals with the interception by Jalen Terry. And Davison with a few big plays, and they capped the big drive with a 2-yard touchdown run by Caleb Smith. Boy, we were talking about getting him going. And if he can start to turn the wheels for the Cardinals on offense, it's a dangerous threat to stop.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the 11th man for Davison's extra point team coming on with 6 seconds left. See if the Cardinals can get this kick through. Down to 3, down to 2. The kick is off and away, and it's going to be enough. Cardinals take a 21-14 lead, 9:33 to play in the 3rd quarter, and a statement start to the second half by Davison on the road.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, coming out here against the number 1 defense in the SVL and racking up 21 points over the course of 2 quarters and a little bit into the 3rd, it's exactly what they wanted to do tonight, and they've been doing it.
The Cardinals allowed Lapeer to come into Cardinal Stadium and what felt like steal that game on Week 9, take the SVL Red Division title. But obviously this is the biggest matchup for both teams of the season so far, and the winner continues their postseason run and will be district champs in 2019.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they were heartbroken when they lost that game, but Pasco fired him back up. Like I was talking about earlier, he's been a real motivational leader on this team, and they bounced back against Romeo, and now they're doing the same again against Lapeer tonight, getting some redemption.
Cardinals will boot this one away. Just 2.5 minutes in to the second half, and the Cardinals get the stop defensively and get on the scoreboard. A big start to this 3rd quarter. Kick is a high kick, and it's going to be fielded past the 10-yard line, setting up a big return for the Lightning. Following a seam up the right side and dropped past the 40, and a big return for the Lightning. And that's going to set them up nicely past the 40-yard line, 1st and 10.
Yeah, it's a rough return in terms of Davison defense, but Lapeer, some great field position for them. And last time they were around the 40-yard line, they were able to put some points on the board, so it looks like that might be happening again here.
Cardinals in search of their first district title since 2008, when they were able to edge Flushing 35-14. That was the 08 squad that would go on to get all the way to the D1 state semifinal matchup against the Big Reds of Muskegon in a heartbreaker 38-35 final.
Yeah, I believe that's the farthest they've ever been in the playoffs in school history.
LaBelle looking to throw a quick route off to his right. He connects with Dixon. Tries to lower his shoulder, forced out shy of the 50-yard line, and it was Smith able to come over and try and help force the senior out of bounds. A big chunk taken off on 1st down by the Lightning, bringing up 2nd down and about 5. Yeah, Davison from there after 2008, they were shy of a district final game until 2016. That was when they had to answer to the Clarkston Wolves. They'd go on to lose 31-14 in that one. Then the year later against Clarkston again, shut out 28-0. LaBelle again throws in the flat, caught past the 50. That's going to be about a yard shy of the 1st down. It's going to be 3rd and a few inches here coming up for the Lightning.
Yeah, Davison and Lapeer both had trouble with Clarkston in the past. They're a fantastic team. They always make deep runs into the playoffs. Got about 8 minutes, 51 seconds left in this quarter. It's going to be a 1st down for the Lightning on Davison's own 49.
Well, I didn't think it was enough as the officials' initial spot was shy of the line to gain, but a 1st down would have been 3rd and only a few inches. LaBelle looking to throw. He unloads to the far sideline. Pizzala in the area, dropped incomplete. They're trying to connect with Saar, and Pizzala was behind by a few steps trying to close that gap. But again, Kyle Saar had a step on Pizzala, and unfortunately, that falls to the turf incomplete.
Yeah, good effort by Pizzala, making sure he's not putting his hands on that receiver, avoiding that pass interference call. He hasn't really been called for that too much this season, and it's showing. He's making some clean plays, consistent plays, and that was good coverage there. Because that receiver was really focused on Pizzala and wasn't able to look as much up at the pass.
Got to tip your cap to Saar for the effort, diving effort. Here's 2nd and 10. Give up the middle, immediately met contact, but that's past the line of scrimmage by about a yard. It's going to be 3rd and 9 upcoming. 8:35 to play in the third quarter. The Cardinals defensively intercept LaBelle for the 2nd time in this game. And it was Jalen Flowers who was able to go up, come down with the football, get a little bit of a return, and then a big passing play from Sullivan to connect with Harrison Terry for his first big catch of the night. And that set up the Cardinals score. 21-14. Here's 3rd and 9. LaBelle, a big drop, setting up a screen over the middle, and it's dropped incomplete. Boy, Pasco came crashing in. He almost had that pick, would have been his 2nd of the night, but it's going to force a 4th down and 9 coming up for the Lightning.
Yeah, this defense is just playing great. They're able to get real scrappy, go for those tips and dive on them.
LaBelle was sweating from the Cardinal pressure up front and just trying to get a quick throw out. He did, but it was tipped. I believe it was Dixon that was the intended receiver. No one was back to return for the Cardinals as Lapeer showing punt here on 4th down and 9. Caleb Smith does retreat back for the Cards. In this instance, can't let this one take a bounce on a turf field. You've got to fair catch it and spot it right where it's at. End-over-end kick. It's going to bounce, and that's exactly what Smith does. And it bounces into the end zone. Wow, the Lightning were so close to tucking the Cardinals inside their own 1. Fantastic, but a devastating break for the Lapeer special teams unit. The Cardinals will have it at their own 20.
Fantastic effort there by Braden McKenna trying to keep that ball out of the end zone. And it almost did before that Lapeer player came crashing in and knocked it right back in.
And so a couple of breaks that have gone the Cardinals' way to start the second half. Davison in front 21-14 with 8 minutes flat to play. And a big offensive possession for the Cardinals. If they can try to find points here, their first drive able to find the end zone on a couple of plays. One big pass play, as we mentioned, to Terry, and then Caleb Smith a couple of big plays on his shoulders to find the end zone. Sullivan's got it, 1st and 10 at the 20. 4 minutes gone by in the third quarter. Junior quarterback is going to play fake, thrown out to the right, caught by Fordham. Makes a man miss across the 25 and spiraling down to about the 27. Big chunk taken off on 1st down. 2nd and manageable coming up for the Cardinals. I think they're going to spot it about 2 yards to go, maybe 3.
Yeah, Latrell's great at making those players miss, shoving them aside or spinning around them. He's always making them dive to the side, never on them, never making those tackles.
2nd and 3 is how they mark it as the Cardinals with 25 seconds on their play clock. Sullivan and Terry off on the far sideline getting the play call from their Cardinal coaching staff. Clock ticking now, down to about 7:15 here in the third quarter. Lightning have not lost since week 1. Davison with a couple of tough losses to end the regular season. They lose 2 of their last 3. Sullivan with the give to Kreiderman. He meets the pile quickly and is going to go backwards.
Yeah, and that 2 of the last 3 are similar to last season. 3 of the last 4 games were losses. First one being to De La Salvin, that win against Saginaw Arthur last season, and then another loss to Lapeer just like this year, and then they lost again in the playoffs. But changing it up this year.
It's going to set up a 3rd down at about 3, and so they give the Cardinals no gain. More importantly, though, is what it looked like it would have been no loss on that play. Cardinals all huddled up on their far sideline as the play clock is running, but it's down to 15, so plenty of time for the Cards to get to the line here. You notice that they're using the play clock and the game clock in this instance up by a touchdown.
Yeah, I mean, they want to hold this lead for
Boy, not what you want here as the Cardinals going to take a timeout as the play clock now showing 4, melted all the way down to inside 5 seconds, and the Cardinals burn a timeout here in the third quarter to try to get on the same page of a big 3rd down. 3rd and 3 is what the scoreboard shows, 6:22 left in the third quarter.
Yeah, that confusion is going to stop the clock there. Definitely want to get some things talked over there in their own territory, and a turnover here would be absolutely brutal. And you don't know how the defense is going to hold up unexpected like this if they do commit a turnover. But talking it over, the right decision. Going to all get on the same page, hopefully make a good play coming up here.
So the Cardinals have it at their own 27 as they score on their opening drive, but tuck deep in Lightning territory here, hoping for a drive that can chunk some time off of this clock. There's 6:20 left in the third quarter. And up by a touchdown, 21-14 our score. Some points could really give the Cardinals an advantage here. Sullivan dropping back, play fake, looking on the far sideline. He's got a man caught. 40, 30, 20, 15, 10, 5, touchdown. No flags on the field. A 73-yard touchdown completion to Harrison Terry.
Fantastic vision there by Sullivan, able to pick out the open man down on the sideline. And also to Harrison Terry, able to beat those defenders in a foot race and get that touchdown for the Cardinals, now putting them up by 2 touchdowns.
Harrison Terry coming alive for the Cardinals in the second half. A big catch to set up the first score of the third quarter. That one a 73-yard touchdown run as Sullivan with a little shoulder fake. And then Terry with the elevation down the sideline was dropped perfectly by Sullivan in front of him. Extra point is booted through the uprights. And the Cardinals now up by 2 scores, 28-14 our score. And the Lightning seats not a lot to cheer about here in the third quarter so far to start the second half.
Yeah, you wonder how they're going to retaliate. 2 unanswered scores so far just in the third quarter alone. And there's still 6 minutes left to play, so this Davison team, they're hot right now, and it's going to be hard to get anything past that defense too.
That's the big point here is with 6:14 to play in the third quarter, the Cardinals in a situation where they want to be. Their defense out on the field up by 2 scores. The Lightning have struggled with the pressure up front by Davison. They've chunked their way to a couple of big plays in this ball game so far, but with a Davison defense out on the field and a 2-score advantage, you've got yourself in a good spot here in the second half.
Yeah, I mean, Davison's been putting fantastic pressure on in the pocket, able to force some bad decisions, resulting in those 2 interceptions.
Cardinals looking to move past the district stage for the first time since 2008. Kick team getting set to boot this one away. Be interesting, Mason, to see how Lapeer responds to the spot in the ball game as they find themselves down by 14 points. You look back at the Lake Orion loss, it was by 10. They have not been down by 14 points this season so far. So this is the largest deficit that the Lightning have faced as the kick is going to bounce and just roll out of bounds at about the 7-yard line.
Yeah, it looks like there's a flag on that play. Ref threw one out just as it rolled out.
Yeah, so that's a tough kick as it looked like it would die around the 5-yard line, but it just rolled out. And so that's going to give the Lightning a big advantage to the 35. Lightning fans trying to give their Bolts some energy here in the third quarter as offensively they've struggled. And I think they're going to elect the Cardinals to re-kick this one.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they'll take some better field position if they can get it. And on these kickoffs, they've been able to run it back 25, 30 yards, able to get themselves in a good spot on the field.
They're going to spot the Cardinals.
5-yard penalty should move the ball back to the 35-yard line.
Did you hear the public address announcer confirm it is the 35 to boot this one away? Davison with 2 touchdowns unanswered to start this third quarter. A big swing towards the Cardinals.
Yeah, I mean, they've come out hot, and you can't do much against a team when you're coming out hot on a cold night like this.
Yeah, no doubt. Again, an 11th man coming on the field. Cardinals making some late substitutions on their kick team. Seen it a couple of times in this ball game. Got to be on the same page and stay tight through the end of this one. This one a high kick, and it's going to go to about the 31. And I think that's Brown that stepped out of bounds just shy of the 35.
Yeah, it's a lot better field position to work with for the Lightning. Wonder if they're going to make something out of this play to retaliate against those 2 consecutive Cardinal scores.
When the Lightning have struck, it's been quick in this ball game. You saw the big touchdown pass that was right over the middle from Dixon in the air to Brown, I believe it was. It was Brown. It was Kyle Saar. And that's when they were able to find their second touchdown that tied this game at 14.
Yeah, and in the second half, Flowers swooping in with that interception for the Cardinals, and then getting the touchdown on that drive, and then, not to mention, the other drive got another touchdown. So, coming out pretty hot right now.
Cardinals in front by 2 scores with 6:11 to play in the third quarter. Man in motion. And LaBelle looking to throw. Unloads over the middle of the field. Wide open is McKenna. Flowers trying to chase him down in a foot race. 15, 10, 5, forced out of bounds at the 1-yard line. And a big play as the man in motion drew the Cardinals' attention. Wide alone was McKenna on the far end.
Yeah, just weren't able to keep their focus in one spot, and it showed. McKenna was able to make that big play. He made another play like that against Brother Rice, except it ended up in a touchdown, but it was just about that same distance.
Lightning have it at the Cardinal 4, they say, is where McKenna was forced out of bounds.
Yeah, and I mean, if that's a way to bounce back from those 2 consecutive Cardinal touchdowns, that's the way.
Sophomore had a lot of speed. That was sophomore chasing down sophomore as Flowers was able to catch up to McKenna. Was the lone chance to try to prevent a long touchdown. Cardinals, despite being up 2 scores, have been knocked on their heels a bit here. Dixon drops back, now takes it up the middle. He's going to force his way forward. Did he get in? Nope, they drop him shy and mark it at about the 1. So a 3-yard gain. It's going to make it 2nd and goal at the 1. Trying to see if they can punch this in. The Cardinal defense, they've had Lapeer inside the red zone earlier in this ball game, and a field goal that was missed by Michael Mustin, usually automatic for the Lightning in that department, but he pushed it. And just the way that the ball flew didn't look like he got the cleanest kick. Might have been on the laces.
Yeah, it looked pretty straight, didn't get too much height, and it went way wide of the uprights. So
just a knuckleballer that went left.
Yeah.
2nd and goal at the 1. It's Dixon again. He'll take the snap, go right up the middle, bowling his way over. Did he get in? No, they spot him shy. So this will be, again, 3rd and goal at the 1. Maybe a few inches that they give Dixon, but not much.
Looked like he trucked his own player. McKenna there wasn't able to make that, and McKenna wasn't able to make a block as a result. Might have been something that happened in that play that ended up in that not being a touchdown.
Dixon jogging to the sideline to get the play call, and now goes back to his Lightning huddle on 3rd and goal on the Cardinal doorstep. Davison with back-to-back touchdowns to start this 3rd quarter. But Lapeer now on their end, after a big play to set them up inside the 5-yard line, trying to capitalize it and punch it in. Dixon takes a snap. He stood up again, shy of the goal line. It's going to bring up a 4th and goal.
Some fantastic.
Oh boy, and a late flag flies. Let's see who this will go against. This will really be crucial because this is either going to be a loss on the play and move the Lightning further from the goal line or move them right back inches within. And it goes against the Lightning. Lapeer had it 1st and goal at the 4, 2nd and goal at the 1. And now it's going to bring up a 4th down as it happened after the completion of the play. And so in between the whistles, a personal foul against Lapeer. They might bring the kick team on.
Yeah, those refs had Davison fans scared for a second, but they went wild when that call went against the Lightning.
You'd hate to come up if you're Lapeer empty-handed here, but a big stop for the Cardinals if you can keep the Lightning off the scoreboard. You'd have to think that Lapeer would boot this one through, but it's not looking like they're going to do that. LaBelle jogging back out onto the field. 4th and goal at the 16.
Well, yeah, down by 2 touchdowns. They got to put more points on the board than just a
with
3.
With 4 minutes left in the third, you think any points would do you some good here instead of trailing by 2. They look to the end zone, thrown into the air, and it's going to be incomplete. No flags on the play. Lapeer, after having it at the 1-yard line, walks away empty-handed. Again, the Cardinals in the red zone turn the Lightning away with no points.
Some great coverage there. Fans not happy about that one on the Lapeer side. Looking for a pass interference call, but they're not going to get it.
This is the first time that the Lightning this late in the game have faced a deficit of this size of 14 points. Again, they lost to Lake Orion 17-7 in week 1. Haven't lost since. And the Cardinals now with 4:03 left in the 3rd quarter. Got to see if you can try to chunk away some time and maybe come away with some points.
Yeah, I mean, losing something that they were hoping to leave in that season opener, but it's starting to shape out to be the story tonight.
Terry, the man in motion for the Cardinals. It's Terry and Fordham split out to Sullivan's left. Nobody out to his right. 2 in the backfield with him. Takes it. We'll look to dump it off to Terry. Caught at about the 10. Hustling to the 20-yard line. And he's going to be brought down inbounds, fortunately. Solid chunk taken off on 1st down, and that will keep the clock moving. 2nd and about 4 upcoming for the Cards.
Nice block there by Latrell.
It was.
Yeah, making it a little bit easier on AJ, only having to deal with one Lapeer Lightning player instead of 2 or 3.
Ball's marked at about the 22. Sullivan jogging back from the sideline after getting the play call. Scoreboard shows 2nd and 5 with 3:30 to play in the third.
Yeah, I wonder how the Cardinals are going to dig themselves out of this hole in their own territory.
They load up the line of scrimmage. 2 split out to the right. It's Fordham and Terry. Sullivan with the give up the middle. Kreiderman trying to break past the line of scrimmage, and he's going to get turned around forcefully by the Lightning. Excuse me.
Yeah, covered in a swarm of Lapeer Lightning players there.
He does get a few yards on that carry. I thought he was at the line of scrimmage and got turned away, but they do give him a yard, maybe 2, as it's a 3rd and 3 situation upcoming.
Yeah, I mean, Davison will take it. They'll make it a little bit easier to convert. They've been pretty solid on those conversions this game. I don't think they've missed one, have they?
No, it's been really strong for the Cardinals in the 3rd down category. And a way to ice this ball game and keep this clock moving is if you can convert on 3rd and short situations. Here's a 3rd and 4. Lightning fans looking for a stop. Cardinals on the road looking for a big 3rd down. Sullivan rolling to his right. Throws to the far sideline. Caught by Terry and out of bounds for the 1st down.
Davison fans real happy about that one. And Charles Bennett, Sullivan's go-to guy in those situations on 3rd downs where you need someone to make a quick pass, run it out of bounds. And Charles Bennett, his guy tonight.
Again, the winner of this ball game will go on to answer to the winner of Lake Orion and Utica Eisenhower. And the last that we had checked at the half, Utica was in front of the Dragons. 20-10 was the score in that ball game. 2:25 to play in the 3rd quarter. Sorry, Mason.
It's all right.
1st and 10, Sullivan's got it. And we'll keep it on the ground here up the middle. Kreiderman, again, breaks the line of scrimmage for a few yards. Going to bring up 2nd down.
Yeah, and I mean, Lapeer's run defense has been solid at some points, but other times they're letting him right through, not able to get him down fast enough. I mean, Davison's stacking that defensive line, or offensive line is giving the running back a little bit more time, too, to find some space and get some blocks.
So the scoreboard shows 2nd and 8, under 2 minutes to play in the 3rd quarter. Again, the Cardinals are going to use as much of this clock as they can. This is right where you want to be in the driver's seat. With possession of the football, clock running in your favor, and just steadily chipping away down the field. Cards have it at their own 33. 2nd and 8. Sullivan throws, caught by Fordham at the 35. Spin, makes a man miss, still on his feet across the 40. And the Lightning fans wanted a whistle or a flag on the blocking by Terry. And a Lightning defensive member is down just shy of the 45, and that's going to stop the clock as the Lightning medical staff tries to tend to the down Lapeer man.
Those moves, though, seem to give Latrell that 1st down. Spinning.
Boy, it's Dixon.
Twice.
You really hate to see a guy in a name like Phoenix Dixon have to walk off the field, but he does do just that, walks off the field. Was a little bit banged up after the Week 10 matchup against Grand Blanc, I was told. But before the start of this ball game, ran out onto the field just fine, but walks away from that play after Terry with the blocking and Fordham with the footwork to get the 1st down.
Looked like he might have the wind knocked out of him. He was bending over, taking a second to chill out. He's walking around. He looks like he's doing fine.
He tried to get back on the field, but Dixon will have to sit this play defensively out. And the Cardinals have it at their own 44 after another 1st down conversion. Cardinals have stayed in this formation. It's worked. Give us to Kreiderman. Works his way past the 45 and falls forward for some crucial yards there. And we approach the 1-minute marker in the 3rd quarter. Cardinals have killed this clock in quarter number 3. 2 scores for Davison on the road. A big interception by Jalen Flowers set up a Caleb Smith 2-yard touchdown run. And then the Lightning, couple of big plays, trying to answer this 2-score deficit that they're in. Worked it all the way to the 1 and were turned away with no points. And now the Cardinals chipping down the field on the other end.
Yeah, it's rough for the Lightning. It's like getting that close. I mean, you basically have it in your hands. They just weren't able to connect on that pass.
Think back about the personal foul as well. Play clock at 3. Down to 2, down to 1, and the Cardinals get it off. Give us to Smith. Nope, it's Sullivan who keeps it on the play fake. Rolling to his right, thrown, and it falls incomplete as Fordham was in the area, and a late hit as Sullivan goes down. There's no way that there can't be a flag on that.
Yeah, Sullivan waving his finger in that face saying, you can't do that, man.
Right.
I mean, he can't.
Weingart's lobbying to the near official in that area as Sullivan, after he got rid of it, was taken down nastily, and we walk away with no flags. It's going to bring up a 3rd and 7.
Yeah, I mean, that ball was clearly thrown. I'm surprised refs didn't notice that flag, or that near flag.
But again, you go back to when the Lightning had it, it was 3rd and 1. They were stood up and stopped. And then after 3rd down, after the play was whistled dead, a personal foul by the Lightning moved them back to their own 16. They went for it when you thought maybe they'd try to chip a field goal and just get 3 points back in their favor. Instead, they come away empty-handed. They tried to the far end zone for a jump ball. And you mentioned it, Mason, maybe a pass interference call. Wasn't the case. Terry with the coverage to break it up and force a turnover on downs. Cardinals from their 16. They've had a drive that's worked their way to the 48. They moved down nicely, and in the act of doing that, have killed this third quarter clock down to 20 seconds. The scoreboard shows 21 9/10 of a second, so just about 22 seconds. As the Cards are up 28-14 here in the third quarter, knocking on the door of the start of the final frame from Lapeer.
Yeah, I mean, they've been burning that clock all quarter. Like you said, that's been working out in their favor. I mean, the quarter's almost over, and if they keep doing that in the fourth, then they're going to be money.
Davison has had some tough road games against the Lightning. 2014, a 38-2 loss that was on the road. And then 2016 was when they were able to get their first win here in Lapeer against the Lightning, 28-7, 3-score fashion. And then in 2018, that was last year, a tough one, 28-6 was the final. And Jake Weingart's return to Lapeer with Davison at the helm of the program in his first game against the Lightning as a head coach. That not far from his memory, trying to get the win, and none would be sweeter than tonight. Here's 3rd and 7, and a big one at that. Sullivan takes a snap and some whistles, as I think the Cardinals did move early up front. They did show a play fake as Sullivan had pulled it and was looking to throw. I think they're likely going to try to do that again as they face a 3rd and long. It's going to be about 12 yards to gain.
I mean, when they're up by 2 touchdowns, the last thing you want to be doing is getting called for silly flags like a false start. You got to keep it clean, make sure everyone's on the same page, and just play a good game of football.
So it's 3rd and 11. Manageable for this Cardinals passing offense that has been strong tonight. Harrison Terry had a huge catch back earlier in this half that set the Cardinals up nicely for the first score, and then the 73-yard touchdown by Terry to make it 2 scores. 3rd and 11, Sullivan looking to throw. Steps up in the pocket with some pressure. Now going to tuck it himself. Hit hard shy of the 50 where he's forced out of bounds. Did not get the line to gain. That's at about the 46-yard line. He's going to be shy of about 4 or 5 yards.
Yeah, nearly clothesline there. But like you were saying about AJ Terry, he's been having himself quite a game, not just on the offensive end, but defensive end too. He's been playing some great coverage.
Cardinals will kick this one away to try to tuck the Lightning in their own territory and deep at that. And still, despite these plays that have, I mean, you're still not in the fourth quarter. You want to try to get to the final frame. You hope that you can do it here, but as quickly as you can get to the fourth quarter and start running some clock, the better.
Cardinals' second punt tonight looks like it's Chandler Thrower out there again.
4th and 5. Thrower at about the 34-yard line. Good snap. Kick is away. It's going to drop at about the 27. It's going to roll and be spotted at about the 21-yard line by Terry. And finally, the buzzer sounds in the third quarter. We head to the fourth. Throw those fours up as the Cardinals try to do the job in the fourth quarter and come out of Lapeer alive in Week 11 as they lead it 28-14, heading to the fourth.
If you're on that Cardinals sideline right now, what are you trying to tell your players? What are you trying
Finish
to
this ball game. I mean, you're up by 2 scores. The Lightning have been stifled here in the second half with no touchdowns, and it's been all Davison in the third quarter. You've got to roll that momentum and that energy over into the final quarter of play. I'd have to think that one more touchdown for the Cardinals seals it, but you can't be thinking that far ahead. Just take it one play at a time. Play clean, as you mentioned, Mason. Clean up on those penalties and just finish this ball game.
Yeah, absolutely. Just run that clock down, play solid defense, get that ball back, keep it as long as you can, and keep it out of your hands for as long as possible.
Cardinal defense out onto the field to get us going as a fresh 12 minutes are up on the clock to start us in the final quarter of play from Lapeer.
Going to be the most important 12 minutes of Lapeer season here.
This is a Lightning team that will likely be taking a lot of shots. You've got to handle them. They go on the ground on first down. Gabe Smith in the area to stand up the ball carrier and drop him at the line of scrimmage. No gain, and the clock starts to melt here in the fourth quarter. 2nd and 10 upcoming for the Lightning.
Yeah, this Davison defense has been electric ever since the start of the second half. Something must have just clicked, and they're just not letting Lapeer have any chances. Able to make some great stops, some great tackles, just like there from Smith, and then that interception to start it all off.
You see that the Lightning have it marked at their own 21. LaBelle in the backfield, man in motion. LaBelle rolling to his left, looking to unload. He does to the far sideline, and fortunately it falls down to the ground as Fordham was there. Just couldn't hear if there was a ball in his area. And boy, LaBelle just sailed it into the air. I think he was trying to clear the sideline. Did not get out of the field of play, and if Fordham was able to come away with a pick, that would have been a backbreaker.
Yeah, it looks like he was stumbling there at the end. Would have been the 3rd pick this game if he had made that.
I mean, when you're in that area and your back's turned and you're doing your assignment defensively, it's hard to talk to one another, especially with so much noise out onto the field. You know, you think, oh, if he would have just turned, it's hard to do that. But it brings up a 3rd and 10 after the incompletion. Clock stopped at 11:15 as LaBelle with 2 out to his left and right, 1 in the backfield. Looking to throw, he does quickly get rid of it over the middle of the field, and it's incomplete. Boy, Flowers just got a hand in there to jar it loose. Looked like a great route that was run over top by the Lightning and poked free by the sophomore who's having himself a heck of a game. Brian Brown was there to come down with it. He would have had a lot of space to work with. Maybe could have been gone if he was able to come down with the football and shake free. But the sophomore for the Cardinals gets a hand in there and makes the difference.
A pretty mellow reaction, but a great play and a really close one, too. I mean, in a late game like this, you want to make those big plays whenever you can, and that might just steal it for Lapeer on this drive.
Here's 4th and 10 for the Lightning. They get the snap away. Kick is off. And Fordham trying to call everybody away. That's the smart thing to do. Don't try to return it and have a fumble hurt you or hamstring you in the situation of the game. And it'll roll down to the 35. Actually, a pretty incredible kick when you think about it, as it was booted away from about the 10-yard line. And so the Cardinals have the football back with 11:01 left in the fourth quarter, up by 2 scores. Got to try to kill some clock and just chip away at this fourth quarter in Lapeer and maybe even try to come away with some points.
Yeah, like you're saying, Lapeer does have a pretty solid special teams. This hasn't really shown that missed field goal early on. That could have put them on the board and maybe boosted some morale on the sidelines.
This is the 2nd time that the Lightning and the Cardinals have met, twice in one season, as Mason mentioned earlier in this game, and the Cardinals were able to take both back in 2017. When the Lightning took the Week 9 matchup, there were no more hopes of a sweep for the Cardinals in 2019. But the Cards looking for their first district title since 08. Give is up the middle, and the ball is going to be stood up shy of the 40-yard line. They're going to mark, I think it was Smith was the ball carrier at about the 39. Nope, they say it was Kreiderman.
Surprised he didn't blow that whistle either. It looked like he got stopped pretty early on.
Yeah, you thought they'd blow it dead. Under 11 minutes to play. 2nd down and 8 upcoming for the Cards at their own 39-yard line. Chris Jared, Mason Polmantier, bringing you Cardinal football on this November Friday night, the 8th of 2019. And the Cardinals in Week 11 of the 2019 season, trying to do what's given them fits in the past, and that's win on the road in Lapeer to keep their season alive. Give is up the middle. Smith tries to bounce to the outside. Gets across the 40-yard line, across the 45. He's got the 50 and works his way out of bounds. If he was able to cut it up, would have had a lot more, but nonetheless gets the first down for the Cardinals. And a big gain for Caleb Smith is going to give the Cardinals a fresh set, now in Lightning territory with 10:08 to play.
Yeah, good vision there by Smith to dodge that mess right in front of the pocket and go out wide and get that first down for the Cardinals.
That's what Caleb Smith has not had a lot of in this ballgame, is space. And right there, found some space to work with, bounce it to the outside, and that's what the Lightning have. You do got to tip your cap. Defensively, they've done a pretty good job, as a majority of Caleb Smith's chances have been up the middle. So nonetheless, Lapeer has been able to keep the door shut on the senior, but a big run there for Smith. Here's 1st and 10 at the 47. Again, they go to Caleb. Across the 45-yard line, still loose. Across the 35, Smith down to the 20 and tripped up and stopped at about the 15. Caleb Smith with 2 momentous runs for the Cardinals to work their way in Lightning territory. Under 10 minutes to play, and the Cardinals, again, a trip inside the red zone.
Yeah, Smith's starting to look like he did last week now. He's starting to get that fire kindling up back inside him. I mean, these two fantastic runs in a row. Able to get the first down twice in a row and put them in some scoring territory here.
Cardinals looking for one more score. They've got it 1st and 10 at the Lightning 14-yard line. 2 split out to the left for Sullivan. The Cardinals have kept this formation, and it's worked. Here's the give up the middle to Smith. He's going to be tripped up past the 15-yard line. And it's going to be marked dead at about the 12 or 13, a short gain on first down.
Seems like Smith's been having more success this game, taking his chances and trying to beat those people on when he goes up on the outside, rather than trying to push up the middle.
A little bit over 9 minutes to play as the clock at 9:02 and rolling, and now under 9 minutes. Cardinals' play clock is down to 13. They're going to take all of the play clock off here in the fourth quarter. They got to get to the line quickly under 10 seconds. Got to go. Down to 6, down to 5, down to 4, 2. They got it. Give us to Kreiderman trying to bounce it to the outside. Kreiderman cuts it up to the end zone. Did he get in? He did. Touchdown, Kreiderman, and the Cardinals now up by 3 scores, pending the extra point with 8:36 to play.
Some icing on the cake there put on by Carter Kreiderman, able to put that one in and put them up by another 6 points.
A 12-yard touchdown run for Kreiderman, as the Cardinals trying to make that be the knockout blow in Week 11 against the Lightning on the road.
If you're Lapeer, what are you thinking right now? I mean, you're probably pretty down about that touchdown right there. You thinking you have comeback chances?
There's 8:35 to play, and the Cardinals just got to try to complete this game, but they've done their job of doing that. The interception was a great start to that, and the kick is up and through. Cardinals now in front 35-14 with 8:36 to play in this ball game. And if you're the Davison defense, just get on the field and get your offensive football back to keep this clock moving. The Lightning, again, we said it here in the second half, we've seen them draw up some shots here to try to get some quick strikes. Likely will have to empty out their bag on this drive to try to get something going.
Yeah, I mean, Davison's just tightening their grip on this game, and there's not much Lapeer can do to stop them. They're just marching down the field, especially with that run game there in that last drive, trying to burn the clock, but they got to score out of it.
Cardinal kick team getting set to boot this one away. We've seen strong special teams play by the Cardinals tonight, and their defense has been stellar. No points scored by the Lightning in the second half with 8:36 to play. And the Cardinals trying to stay alive in Week 11 and get to Week 12 for the first time since the 08 season. This was a Davison team that made a lot of noise throughout the year, but met their matches in some tough opponents against De La Salle on the road, and then a heartbreaking double overtime loss against the Lightning just 2 weeks ago from tonight. Kick is an end-over-end kick, caught at about the 15. Return is on for the Lightning. Still on his feet, and now a seam down the 50. Saw a block in the back right at midfield, down to the 10-yard line, and there is a flag down at the 43. This one will be coming all the way back. There was a tough block in the back right at midfield.
Still a great return nonetheless, though, able to make 2 men miss.
Nope, that's a T. Well, and that's tough. I thought that was a flag, and it's hard to see it. But there was a advertent block in the back at midfield that the officials must have missed in the action. And so that does exactly what you don't want to do for the Cardinals. A lot of broken tackles sets the Lightning up at the Cardinals' own 12-yard line with 8:21 to play.
Yeah, I mean, great return there. He saw him, but 3 people missed there in the midfield and was able to run it back all the way to Cardinals 10.
Dixon, the man in the backfield. He'll take it himself, looking to throw now. In some pressure at the 15, tucks the ball and tries to run for the end zone, lowers his shoulder and is knocked out of bounds, shy of the pylon.
Yeah, that's a dangerous play there, especially for your quarterback. But with Phoenix Dixon's size, especially for a quarterback, he can take those hits and bounce right back.
Well, just some too much pressure too much space for Dixon, not enough pressure, as he took the snap and just patiently worked his way to the right and then looked to throw, and the Cardinals kind of backed off, but you've got to get your pressure in there, and Dixon showed you why as he lowered the shoulders and was knocked out at about the 2. Did not get the first down, actually, so the line to gain is at the 1. So Lightning could get a first down without getting it into the end zone. Dixon takes it himself, looks to work up the middle, walks in untouched for the Lightning touchdown. And the Lightning trying to get their fans on their feet. 8:12 left in the fourth quarter, and there's the first points of the second half for Lapeer.
Yeah, and that makes that score look a lot more doable for the Lapeer Lightning. I wonder if they're going to rally up for a comeback this quarter. I mean, they have 8 minutes left. You never know.
Mustin on the field to boot this one through. Wow, he can kick. Drills it through the uprights. And the Cardinals going to get the football back, still up 2 scores, so it erases the Kreiderman touchdown that gave you 3 scores, but it does give you the football back. But with 8 minutes left, got to try to get that clock moving and dwindle time quickly here on the road.
Only 2 plays after that return. Pretty quick work there by the Lapeer offense, thanks to that big return.
Well, that return certainly helps, as it was fielded at about the 15. And I think it was Opalewski who was able to get the return. It wasn't Brown. It was 16, I had thought, for the Lightning, and I believe it was. So it was caught at the 15-yard line, and Cardinals could not wrap up their tackles. You've got to get to the football and complete the play and down the football, as there was about 3 or 4 missed tackles that Opalewski was able to take it down to the Davison 10.
Yeah, and I mean, a Davison team, you can't miss those big tackles and big moments like that, because all it does is just give Lapeer more of a chance to come back.
Cardinals have given the Lightning their largest deficit of this season, but trying to finish the job. 8:12 to play with in this fourth quarter, with the Cardinals in front by 14, but a dangerous 14. I mean, you've got to eat some clock up on this drive and stay confident.
Absolutely. Because, I mean, this Lapeer team, they're starting to get back into the rhythm of things. Might be a little late, but they're getting there. And
well, there's still time on the clock. So if you're the Cardinals, you've got to finish this game. Davison putting members around the 45, 50-yard line, anticipating something short, only 2 back deep. And it is a low line drive, bouncing on the ground kick. Still loose. And it's going to be recovered by the Cardinals, fortunately. That's exactly what the Lightning were trying to do, is keep it on the ground. Actually worked its way right past Jalen Flowers, but fortunately able to hop on top of it. And that one could have turned ugly quickly.
Yeah, that's still some rough field position, though. Wonder how the Cardinals are going to dig themselves out of this hole.
So Davison's got it, as everybody going to meet at about the 20-yard line. 1st and 10 with 8:12 to play in the fourth quarter. In front by 2 touchdowns, but it feels like the momentum has kind of turned back towards the Lightning side, with a big return that was fielded at the Lightning's own 15, taken all the way to the Davison 10. And as you mentioned, Mason, just a 2-play drive that the Lightning were able to capitalize and get inside the end zone with almost no time coming off the clock. Sullivan in the backfield in the Cardinal formation that's worked here in the second half, with 2 out to his right. Give is up the middle. Bouncing outside is Smith as he carries the pile all the way shy of the 20. And Davison on the shoulders of Caleb Smith here in the second half, mainly in the fourth quarter. The last drive that was established by a couple of big runs by the senior.
Fantastic block there by Latrell, weaving his way through all the madness and putting a block on a guy, able to let Smith get a couple more yards off.
This is a drive that will be painstakingly slow for the Lightning. The Cardinals going to try to milk all of the clock that they can, as Sullivan breaking the huddle with his head coach and Jake Weingart's at 15 seconds. Sprinting across the field. Now everybody's set at 5, right where you want to be. 7.5 minutes to play. Again, it's the give up the middle. Smith lowers his shoulder. He's got the first down. Cardinal fans have gone nowhere tonight. Some fans have cleared from the stadium.
Yeah, but I mean, they might be missing out because it's starting to turn into a show again.
Could be a great finish. Again, a lot of time ticking off the clock. Play clock is down to 20, and we're just a few seconds over the 7-minute marker here in the fourth quarter. The Davison objective of this drive is really just make no mistakes and turn the football back over as Fordham kind of looks like he's limping over going towards the far sideline, lining up top.
Yeah, he's had some injury trouble this season.
Lightning are crashing the box every single time. Pile is still moving forward for the Cardinals. And it works its way past the 25-yard line down to about the 27. And you'll take that every time. 6:35 to play in this ball game as the clock continues to melt. We'll be giving you a time update after every single play with the Cardinals in front by 2 scores.
Yeah, like you said, Charles looking like he's having some leg trouble. Looks like he's limping a little bit. I mean, he was sidelined 2 games this season and taken out of the second half of the homecoming game as a result of an ankle injury. So you wonder if that might be a nagging injury that's going to affect him in this game and further in the playoffs if they make it.
Sullivan with the snap, gives it up the middle. 2 hands on the football for Smith, and finally he's turned away from the pile. Nothing going there, and that's going to bring up a 3rd down with under 6 minutes to play.
Yeah, 3rd down conversion here is going to be key because they need to burn a little bit more clock off. Don't want to give Lapeer too much time here.
Last update we've got from the Utica-Eisenhower and Lake Orion game was about 20 minutes ago, and it said that Utica was in front of Lake Orion 27-17. I think that one's heading to the 4th quarter, so a 10-point lead for Utica-Eisenhower. The winner of this game will face the winner of that ball game for the regional semi. Here's 3rd down and 8. Likely would think the Cardinals, nope, they'll go in the air here. Sullivan rolls to his left. Thrown in the air, and the interception is dropped. Underthrown, and that would have been disastrous as it just slipped right out of the hands of Preston Church, the senior linebacker for the Lightning. But what that does is it stops the clock with 5:19 to play, and the Cardinals will boot this one away back to the Lightning.
And that's the moment that's going to replay in his head all night long and probably for weeks to come. Because
probably for the rest of his life.
That might have been something that could have given them a chance to come back. I mean, if he had gotten a pick 6 off that, could have ran it back and then had another chance to score later on. That could have been the difference maker.
4th down and 8, and the Cardinals set to boot this one away. Kick is off past the 50, and a fair catch fielded at about the 45-yard line. Lightning will have it in favorable position. 1st down and 10 with 5:14 to play in this ball game. Cardinal drive that took the better half of 3 minutes off of the clock in this 4th quarter.
Yeah, it didn't burn tons of clock, but I mean enough to cut down Lapeer's chances of getting any more points up there. LaBelle
into the ball game for the Lightning, and you've got to think that they will trying to be lining things up for one-on-one coverage up top. That's what they've got with Brian Brown and Jalen Flowers here on the near sideline. One-on-one matchup as Flowers backs up a little bit for some space. LaBelle dropping back, looking to throw. He will up top over the middle, and it's dropped by Flowers. Stepped in for the interception that would have been killer, and a couple of interceptions that have been dropped now by both teams in this final quarter.
Would have been his 2nd one on the night, and he's been making it with the perfect moments. First one being at the beginning of the 3rd quarter, setting them up for a touchdown drive. And if he had made that one, would have just been more of the same, possibly.
Wonder how that shakes things up for the Lightning.
Yeah, I mean, now they got to be wary of this Cardinals secondary. Like they've been causing them problems all game. It's going to be hard to move move the ball down the field in the air.
2nd and 10. Thrown over the middle, and it's dropped incomplete. 5:06 left in the 4th quarter. A couple of passing tries by the Lightning, and both have been dropped. The first one was by Flowers, and that one falls incomplete as Kyle Sarr can't hang on. So bring up a 3rd and 10 at the Lightning zone 45. They've had favorable field position, but trying to dial up the passing plays. It's not been working.
Yeah, just not able to move through the air. We might be looking at a 3-and-out here for Lapeer Lightning.
Lapeer 100% would go for it in a 4th down situation. So if you're the Cardinals, you've got to stay sharp defensively. LaBelle alone in the backfield. Here come the Cardinals. Being chased out of the pocket, goes down. LaBelle slips at the 37-yard line, and a disastrous play on 3rd. That's going to bring up a 4th and very long. Line to gain is the Cardinals' 45.
Quite a ridiculous moment. I mean, anything that can go wrong for the Lightning now, it seems to be going wrong. After that drop pass over there and now slipping like that, just not going good for them right now.
Clock is running, and that's the worst part about it. As the Lightning with all 3 of their timeouts here. 4th down and 18 is what the scoreboard shows. The Cardinals looking for one more stop. LaBelle with 3 to his left, looking that way. Unloads to the far sideline. A jump ball. Who come down with it? It looks like it's Terry. Nope, it's Brown that comes away with the football. I can't believe that.
Unbelievable.
Terry, or that was Flowers that elevated for it and now is kind of limping a little bit as the Lightning with their backs against the wall able to dial up a desperation 4th and 18 conversion.
Yeah,
and they keep this game alive.
That visitor side got super excited about that. Then they were immediately drowned out by this Lapeer crowd, freaking out over that crazy cast there by Brown. And he made a great play when he needed to.
Cardinals call a timeout, and they stop it at 4:09 to get on the same page defensively here. As on 4th and 18, it was a 50-50 ball that the sophomore Jalen Flowers, you've got to understand that he's aggressive, trying to go for that, but you've got to bat that football down.
Yeah, it could have gone either way there and just didn't turn out to go his way. I mean, he had that interception before, then that drop one. It's just kind of gone downhill from here.
So the Lightning have it 1st and 10 with 4:09 to play at the 33-yard line of the Cardinals. 35-21 is our score. No timeouts left for the Cardinals. All 3 belong to the Lightning.
Yeah, 2 touchdown lead here, 4 minutes. That's going to be, it's kind of a steep thing for Lapeer to do, but I wonder if they can pull it off tonight.
Cardinals trying to get the football back to their offense. And without another Lightning score. Cardinal sideline trying to get on their feet. Give their Davison players some momentum here. LaBelle looking for a quick throw over the middle. It's caught by Dixon at the 25. He's dropped inside the 25 at about the 24. He's going to be shy for a first down, so the clock will run. Under 4 minutes to play. Another thriller between the Cardinals and the Lightning in 2019.
Yeah, Lapeer's seeming to find a rhythm in their pass game now, and they're moving it down the field pretty efficiently right now.
LaBelle looking to throw. Trying to go towards the end zone over the middle, and it's poked free and complete. Flowers, the man in coverage, and they were trying to dial up a completion to Brown, but Jalen Flowers, the sophomore, playing like a senior in this district title game, pokes it free.
Yeah, some redemption there for that dropped interception in midfield, and then that giving it up to Brown for that big pass play for the Lapeer Lightning, able to knock out that pass off a near touchdown.
Wonder if the Lightning will try to get the first down here. Only a yard to gain, as they've got it at the Cardinal 24. 3:40 frozen after the incompletion on the clock. Might see if they'll just try to run it up the middle, as the Cardinals have 4 on the line but only 2 in the box. There is the give up the middle. Lapeer with the first down that will stop the clock until the chains get set. And so on 3rd and short, the Lightning able to deliver. Clock is frozen at 3:35 with the Lightning trailing by 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, and they're going to have to manage this time perfectly. Everyone's got to be on the same page here.
LaBelle looking to throw, and it's intercepted by Flowers. Now it's a foot race down the sideline. Jalen Flowers, and nobody's going to catch him. Yes, sir, into the end zone for the second pick set of the night for the Cardinals.
A duel of interception here for Jalen Flowers in the second half. Just some fantastic coverage by him throughout this whole half. And it's shown right there.
There is a flag at the 48, but that will be against the Lightning as there was some contact away from the play. Flowers jumped the route, picked it off, and took it to the house to put this one to bed for sure.
Legitimately pried it out of the receiver's hands there. Some fantastic coverage there.
Second pick 6 of the night for the Cardinals, and the extra point team on to boot this one through. As the Lightning scoreboard still has not put the touchdown up on the board, and there they go. Fans start to head to the exits in Lapeer, Michigan. The Cardinals are going to complete this rematch victory, and none will be sweeter than this one. They dropped the Week 9 double overtime loss against the Lightning. Extra point is perfect.
Just putting salt in the wound now with this last pick 6 here. It's been a rough second half for Lapeer, and they did have that touchdown off of that big return, but they haven't been able to generate much since.
Cardinals, if they can cap this win, will go on to take on the winner of Utica Eisenhower and Lake Orion, whereas it looked like it last time we checked, Utica was in front by 10 to start the final frame.
I believe Utica's in the same division as Romeo, too, so another person out of the MAC Red. Also in the MAC Red was last year's division champion, or state champions, Chippewa Valley Big Reds, but they lost in the first round.
That was a big loss, as I think I saw that there would be a new division champion in divisions 1, 2, 3, and 4 just after the first week alone, which is incredible.
I know, it's just crazy.
Another big matchup that Cass Tech and Dearborn, tractors and technicians. Well, that's a high school matchup if you've ever heard of one.
Cass Tech does have a pretty good history, though.
Yeah, always. So this will be a 3:16 on the clock as the Cardinals with their second pick six of the night. Jalen Flowers with the foot race down the near sideline. And the Lightning fans in that act. LaBelle trying to chase down the sophomore, unable to do so. And Flowers running all the way to the end zone to clip the Lightning here in the district title game. So the penalty will have the Cardinals kicking at the 45. And the Davison fans are going nowhere. Everybody has stayed put for the conclusion of this game. Around the fences, it's thinned out, and even in the home seats, it's certainly thinned out. But what little of the Cardinal fans have had to work with seating, they've stayed put.
Yeah, I mean, they're with this team through thick and thin, and they've gone through all the struggles with them this season.
Return at the 5. We'll see if the Lightning can have another big return dialed up. Nothing this time as it's stopped just past the 20-yard line.
Yeah, it looks like the returner took a little bit too long to change direction there, and it caused him to stop that progress there and get brought down right around the 20.
So again, the Lightning offense has to come out onto the field, but this time facing a deficit that's the Cardinals extend the Lightning's largest deficit faced in 2019, now by 21 points. And trying to hand Lapeer their first loss since week 1.
Crazy turnover wins. Went into the first quarter tied, and then Lapeer's only been able to put up one touchdown this quarter, while Davison's gone all the way up to 42 points.
Here's 1st and 10 at the Lightning 22, trying to look for something quick. Thrown to the far sideline, and it's going to be, did he hang on? Inbounds, yes. Caught at about the 36.
Pretty nice grab there, just coming right out of bounds. Able to bring it in, though, before he's called out.
Update from the Utica Eisenhower game. It looks like the Dragons tack on 3, and now they trail at 27-10 with about 2 minutes left. So a tight one there as the Cardinals will take on the winner of Lake Orion and Utica Eisenhower for the regional semifinal next week.
Clock's winding down. This one just got under 3 minutes left now. Lapeer setting up for another play.
LaBelle with 2 receivers out on both sides, 1 man in the backfield. Looks for a quick throw out to the right, and it's caught. And that's Terry that came in for the quick tackle as the Lightning likely trying to work the sidelines, but it's a first down, so it'll stop the clock at 2:47. But as soon as the chains get set, that clock will continue to work.
There's one thing that you can take away from Lapeer here. It's their determination. I mean, they're not going down without a fight. They're punching these passes in left and right, and it's working out for them.
LaBelle looking for another quick throw. In some pressure, scrambles to his left, looking for a receiver. Finally gets rid of it, and it's going to fall incomplete. Intended receiver was Saar on the near sideline, and it was just out of his extended grasp.
Yeah, it looks like he was kind of hesitant to run it because he didn't want to get brought down and have that clock running. And he wanted to get that first down, too. So it looks like he's going to make it 2nd and 10 after that incomplete pass.
Cardinals currently tied for their largest win on the road against the Lightning. They won 28-7 back in 2016. Haven't had anything of that size or that deficit for the Cardinals since then. LaBelle in some pressure, scrambling around the 40, trying to dodge Cardinals at midfield, and is going to be dropped right there at about the 49, maybe 50.
And Davison is loving this playoff,
as he should.
Experience
This
right
is a moment that Cardinal fans and even these players, they will remember this for a long. You don't forget these wins. You know, no matter how many years go by, even when you watch your own, you remember these little moments.
Yeah, I mean, Pasco, he didn't want to give up that fight after that Lapeer loss, and it's shown. They've been fighting. They fought in Romeo, they fought here, and now they're going to be fighting against the winner of Utica Eisenhower.
LaBelle looking to throw at the 45 with tons of time. Unloads, and it's caught past the 40. And on 3rd and 8, the Lightning able to get the first down. They've still got all 3 of their timeouts, only 1:40 left, but still trailing by 3.
Chills went on my spine there. It's getting pretty cold out.
Yeah, we've moved from 2 heaters to 1 now, and it's keeping a majority of our equipment up top on the press box warm. Chris Jarrett, Mason Polmantier, your broadcast crew tonight on November 8th, 2019, in a chilly Lapeer, Michigan. LaBelle looking to throw. Tons of time again as the Cardinals only send 2, and that falls incomplete. Big shout out to our DTV crew in-house tonight in Lapeer. Just a 1-camera setup, but it's been a dominant 1-camera setup tonight. And then our DTV crew back in Davison High School, nice and warm inside the DTV control room. We're awfully jealous.
A little bit. I mean, Lapeer can't do much in this situation.
You just keep playing. I mean, you treat this like it's a tied game with 1:23 left and try to score.
Yeah, fight to that whistle.
LaBelle throws. It's caught past the 40. And a nice run after the catch down to about the 30-yard line.
Yeah, you got to hand it to them for giving the good effort, even if their fans aren't staying to watch it.
1:12 left in the 4th quarter. 42-21 is our score. And so where do we go from here? Well, the season will end for the Lightning. A incredibly successful season, but unfortunately for Lapeer fans, won't end with a district title. The Cardinals allow the Lightning to come in Week 9 and take the SVL Red Division title, but Davison with the more anticipated matchup and more on the line in terms of a division title here in the 2nd week of the postseason in 2019. And they will walk away with the win that just simply means more here in the season. As now they'll go on to the regional semifinal and take on the winner of Utica Eisenhower and Lake Orion. Of course, just stay tuned to Twitter, and always a good source to check ABC 12 for post game scores, even DTV's Twitter page and Facebook page as well, DTV official _official rather. There it is. And look for some matchups and streaming info for next week. LaBelle again looking to throw. Minute 10 left in the ball game on third and short. Unloads to the far sideline and out of bounds. Boy, a heck of an effort as the catch was actually made. And I think that's Opaleski who made the grab. Good sportsmanship by Flowers to help the Lightning receiver up after the incompletion to make it 4th and short.
Yeah, and he's had quite a game, too. I mean, that pick 6 just before this drive, and then that big interception at the beginning of the half that really generated this fire that Davison just went on with until the end.
Always helps to have someone strong in the secondary aspect. High snap for LaBelle to give it up the middle. And I don't think the Lightning converted there on 4th and short, and they didn't. Nivison explodes to the Cardinal sideline as Davison, now a flag flies at about the 30. They get the stop on 4th down and short. And let's see what this is going to be.
I think it might be an unsportsmanlike conduct for that bit of celebration there.
Well, Nivison just got off the field. It came like it was towards the pile at about the 30. Unger, Fordham are the guys near there with Smith and Flowers. Let's see what the call is here as Davison looking to try to get them on the field here. As with 58 seconds left, under a minute, this will be Cardinal football to ice this ball game. And so the Lightning making some substitutions as their seniors and their ones checking out for the final time in 2019.
And in their high school career.
Yeah, that's a tough
way to go. You know, they came out here thinking, oh man, we're going to have this team beat. We had them beat in that regular season game. Just going to go out and do more of the same. But surely they didn't expect Davison to pull ahead this much. I mean, 42-21.
Cardinals can knee out this clock with 2 timeouts for the Lightning. And they can maybe punt it away on 4th down to try to seal it, as they are in victory formation right now, but I doubt that the Lightning would use their timeouts. Sullivan takes the knee in victory formation, and the Cardinal fans starting to sense it. Davison on their way to win their first division title since the 2008 season. and they will be moving on to the regional semifinal matchup to take on the winner of Utica Eisenhower and Lake Orion.
And there's nothing but respect between those two teams out there on the field, all showing some respect to each other, shaking hands, giving hugs. Great effort by both teams tonight.
This will be the final play from scrimmage. Sullivan takes a knee and will head on over to the far sideline to celebrate with his Cardinals. As a hill that's been so difficult for the Cardinals to overcome in the last decade, they do it tonight. The final 10 seconds ticking away as Cardinal fans, exuberant on the far sideline, strike up that Cardinal fight song as Davison district champs in 2019.
Yeah, I mean, after that performance last week by Caleb Smith and now this week, led by those insane defensive efforts in terms of the secondary, and then led by junior QB Brendan Sullivan to their first third-round playoff game since 2008.
The Cardinals overcome that double overtime heartbreaking loss in Week 9 on the last home game for the Cards this season. And who would have thought that they'd go on to not only defeat Romeo on the road in a tight game that they were down early in the first half, but now go on the road in a district title game against the Lightning at home. Lapeer, always so strong to play here on their home turf. And the Cardinals with a 42-21 book-it final tonight against the Lightning on the road. They stay alive with the Week 11 win, and they go on to regional play, heading to the semifinal matchup against the winner of Lake Orion and Utica Eisenhower. Mason, some final thoughts as we start to break things down from Lapeer.
I mean, Davison did exactly what they needed to do. They locked down Lapeer's run game, what didn't allow them much in terms of that, and they were able to come out, put some points on the board against that tough Lapeer defense. Not something that many people thought possible.
Cardinal fans over on the far sideline, and they're, I think, being deterred by Lapeer event staff, but Davison, their coaches and players can celebrate a district title for the first time in over 10 seasons. And in 2019, the Cardinals leave no doubt in the district final. Well, for all of our crew on Davison Television, Chris Jarrett and Mason Polmantier starting to wind things down as the Cardinals going to be crowned district champs in 2019. Okay. Well, the Cardinals about to be crowned district champs, and we will continue to bring you that coverage despite our broadcast. Mason and my commentary will come to a close, but there's the district title trophy, and the Cardinals raise it high on